Tafadhali kuna wale wako na budget za CBTS, tafadhali mrudishe pale, ni za other guys. So mrudishe pale tafadhali. Wale wako na budget za CBTS. Tafadhali. Sorry for that, eh?
Kwa majina ninaitwa Rongai ya Kwara. Mimi natoka Eldume sub location, Chamus location, Chamus ward, Marriott. Nafanya kazi ya community. Mimi ni body champion.
The Constitution of Kenya came into effect in 2010 and it introduced devolution, which opened new avenues for citizens to participate in the budget-making process, allowing them to have a bigger say in the prioritization of their needs. A major part of these reforms were related to how resources reach the most marginalized areas and communities. The Ilchamus community is one of the smallest ethnic groups in Kenya that over the years has become increasingly vulnerable as a consequence of economic marginalization that stems from government policy that has neglected the arid and semi-arid lands which Baringo County is part of. In Ilchamus ward, Baringo County, public participation has recorded tremendous improvement after local civil society organizations that came together to leverage on collective effort.
We didn't have structures for citizens' engagement. We didn't have accountability mechanisms of government to its own people. We had also very low citizens' understanding of governance. We realized it was very critical. The first engagement that we committed ourselves as Baringo Civil Society Forum was to mobilize communities to engage with the government in the budget process and the planning process.
Notably, Rongai Leakwara, a woman living in a predominantly patriarchal society, is a budget champion who has been trained and exposed to the planning and budgeting process and has been instrumental in engaging with the county government and other actors on behalf of the community. Rongai, who is also living with a disability, has defied all
kwa mambo ya bajeti. Kila wakati tulikuwa tukilaumu MCA hajatufanyia kitu, MCA hajatuambia kitu. Nikakuja pia kujua kwamba kuna kitu inaitwa public participation. Sikuwa najua. Na wakati nilielewa bajeti na nilielewa kwa nini inawekwa bajeti, na nikaanza kujitolea kusaidia community yetu pia niweze kuelimisha waweze kuelewa bajeti ni nini. Na miradi zetu nyingi zimesimama kwa sababu sisi hatufuatilii. Naona vitu ikianza kusonga.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning everyone. You just had a breakfast. Good morning everyone. Thank you. Welcome. My name is John Kinuthia. I work with the International Budget Partnership Kenya, and it's my distinguished pleasure to invite all of you and to welcome you to the launch of the County Budget Transparency Survey 2021. Makofi tafadhali. Before we get started, I would like to request that we start with our national prayer, which is the national anthem. And following that will be the East African anthem, wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. So please, if you don't mind, if we could be on our feet for the national anthem.
na tujenge taifa letu.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you. You may take your seats. So once again, I take the opportunity to welcome all of us to the launch today. And I would like just to do a bit of housekeeping at the beginning. First of all, we have two colleagues who will be helping us with the sign language interpretation. We have Julia and Catherine, who are on that side, but also they will appear on the screens, especially for the colleagues who are joining us on Zoom. Secondly, for the use of washrooms. So we have washrooms once you exit the doors on both sides. So in case you need to make use of the washrooms, then you just step out to the right and to the left. Then you'll be able to get the washrooms. Before we get started, of course, it will be good to know who is in the room. And I do appreciate that there are too many of us to know everyone by name. But I think it's still African enough to get to know who is around, who is your neighbor, who is seated next to you. And so what we will do is we'll do a short introduction just to the people seated next to you around your table. You just want to know who they are, what county they come from, just as a way to at least get to know each other a bit more beyond just who you came with. For those joining us on Zoom, so this is a hybrid meeting, so we have quite a number of colleagues also joining us online. Breakout rooms will be created for you. That will also mean that you get to know a couple of people who are on Zoom together with you as well. But before we jump into that, I think it's important for me to recognize, first of all, the colleagues who are here and are distinguished guests for this meeting today. First of all is to recognize the presence of the UNICEF team led by Madam Manisa from UNICEF. Karibuni sana. Yes. Is to recognize the governor of Lamu and the delegation from Lamu, Governor Twaham. To recognize Governor Kahiga, he's just stepped out. The governor of Nyeri and of course the delegation from Nyeri. Sorry, Governor Kahiga, we've recognized you, and it's good for people to see you. Yes. Also to recognize other county delegations that are led by the CECs of Finance and Planning from their counties. I'll not mention all of them, but we have about 9 other counties also represented in the room. Please a clap for them. To also recognize the Council of Governors. They're also on the high table. Thank you very much. Nakaribu. The National Treasury is also represented here. Thank you, Nakaribu. The County Assemblies Forum is represented, but they are on Zoom. I'm not sure whether Maureen is on Zoom yet, but also we can clap for them. And also to recognize all the non-state actors, especially civil society organizations from the counties who are here and are a big part of this survey. Please give them a clap. Also of course, to recognize the media houses that are here and the teams that are helping us to cover this event. This is just to say karibuni nyote. And now I want us just to take about 3 minutes. Just get to know the person next to you. If you are seated with somebody who you came with, that is a problem. Why would you do that? Race. Make sure you are seated to somebody you don't know anyway, on a light note. On Zoom, we are going to have breakout rooms, at least with 3-4 people. And here, please take a few minutes just to get to know the person next to you. You might learn something interesting about them. All right. I think we can stop now. I hope at least when you leave this room today, there's somebody you know. And in those 5 minutes, you've known them quite enough for them to invite you to their house for breakfast or for lunch. If that has not happened, you are still on the same table, so keep working at it. So I'd like just to take a minute to quickly run through the program of what we plan to cover today. It's a short meeting today because really what we are doing is to launch a survey. And I want just to take a minute to quickly run through the program of what we will cover for the day. Of course, the program will start with a presentation of the findings of the County Budget Transparency Survey, which will be done by the lead researcher Kipkorir Biegon from the International Budget Partnership Kenya. And after Biegon speaks, we will have a couple of partners from the counties that engage with budgets every day and have a very practical experience to share about what it means for them when budgets are readily available for communities to be able to engage with their county government. So we'll have 3 colleagues, Josephine Nyamai from Mombasa, we have Evans Kibet from Baringo, and we have Willis Mula from Busia County. After we are done with that, then we will come to the part where we get to hear from our guests. So we'll hear from at least from the governor of Nyeri. We'll get to hear from the National Treasury. We'll get to hear from the Council of Governors. We'll get to hear, of course, from the governor of Lamu as well. And then we will hear also from our chief guest, Madam Maniza from UNICEF. And after that, of course, we'll do the launch. But the last part, which is the most exciting one for me today, is we get to reward some of the governors, some of the county delegations whose counties did really well during this survey. I think recognition where good practice is seen is something that is human to do and something that is important to do for us today. So our program is going to be that short, and I think all of us, by the end of this meeting, will at least get a better understanding of where we are as a country, especially at the sub-national level, on how we are doing in terms of the transparency of our budgeting practices. Before I invite my colleague, Kipkorir Biegon, I think it's important for me to give just a bit of background about this survey and why, for us at IBP, this is an area we've really invested a lot of time in, and why this is important. I think as a country in 2010, when we decided to pass a new constitution, devolution was a central piece of it. And the centrality of devolution in our governance system had 2 key objectives. One objective was to make sure that government comes closer to the people. That's why we have county governments. And that meant then that the aim was that the government being closer to people means that there's a better opportunity for citizens to be able to engage with governments on all the decisions that governments make. The second objective, which is also really important, was to ensure that we as a country paid more attention to dealing with inequalities and historical marginalization. And what that meant was that as a country again, we are going to be deliberate about how we distribute resources across the country, across the counties, and that was meant to make sure that regions, communities that had been left behind, at least were able to come to a point where they enjoy the level of services as enjoyed by the rest of the country. But a central point to that was the appreciation that governments needed to be inclusive in all the decisions that governments make, that governments needed to be more deliberate in looking at the needs of their populations, looking at the complexity of that. The population is not homogeneous. Even when you speak about children, when you speak about women, you cannot put women in one big group and say these are women. There are a lot of intersectionalities that we needed to think about. So in all that, you realize that the Constitution expected us to have a lot of conversations among ourselves. It expected us to have a lot of deliberations and making decisions to make sure that the needs of all the persons in this country were taken care of. But there was something that can oil that conversation, and is making sure that all of us are able to have access to information that can help us know what kind of decisions we need to make, what decisions we are making, and the impact of those decisions that we make as governments and as a country. So for us, the County Budget Transparency Survey is really an element of supporting the conversation around devolution, because it looks at how well are we doing in making sure that that information that can help oil those conversations is actually available, not just to government, but also to citizens who the governments are making decisions on behalf of and with in the counties. So the CBTS really is our effort to try and build strong evidence to support those debates between governments and their citizens, and we hope that the survey that we launched today is really part of that conversation. It's not an event that starts and ends today. And I think, as I said, one of the reasons why we are recognizing the counties that have done well is because in previous surveys that we've done, we've had conversations with county governments and said, here is where we can improve, here is where we can improve, and I think that is something that we've seen really become helpful. But I don't want to start touching on the survey. Today is Biegon to do that. And I would like to invite Kipkorir Biegon from the International Budget Partnership to come forward and give us the highlights and the findings of the survey. And then after that, we will have our county partners also share their experiences. Biegon, karibu sana.
Thank you, John. Keynote. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So, my name is Kipkorir Biegon, and I work with International Budget Partnership Kenya, and I am the lead researcher for County Budget Transparency Survey. So County Budget Transparency Survey is a survey that is done across all the 47 counties. So this survey, we evaluate counties, and it's a scientific survey that is based on verifiable facts. Also, in this survey, it takes about 10 months from the start of it. When it starts in July, it goes until May. So as today we are launching it, we are really privileged to do it. So, and it only tries to say that how open is our budget processes in counties. And I will take you through the methodology of the survey. And the first thing is that, so those are the key highlights of the survey, and which I will take you through. The first one is methodology and key findings. So this survey has two levels, or it's done in two levels. And the first one is availability and comprehensiveness. So I hope you note that when I will explain in the next slides, you will be able to get what we mean by availability and what we mean by comprehensiveness. And also, at the end, we'll talk about what can we all do. We as government officials, we have citizens who are also CSOs, and they have also been able to engage with government officials, also technical government officials, also and the other side of assemblies, who also have responsibility in producing or in approving some of these budget documents. So, in 2021, County Budget Transparency Survey, we evaluated 10 key budget documents that by law counties are required to provide or to publish in their websites. So what we mean here is that they are required either in the county assembly website or the county executive website. There are budget documents that all counties are required by law to be able to provide, to publish and publicize to the public at various timelines that are also provided in the law. And one of the budget documents that we evaluated is County Budget Review and Outlook paper. And all those budget documents that is being shown on your screen is for the financial year 2020-2021. And one of it is County Budget Review and Outlook paper. We have Annual Development Plan. We have County Fiscal Strategy paper. We have Approved Program-Based Budget, Citizen Budget, and all the 4 quarterly implementation reports that also counties are required to publish at the end of every quarter. And So it's indicated as one, but they are all the four. And also we have Finance Act. What you realize there is that we don't have the report from the control of budget, because only the budget documents that are required to be published by counties are evaluated in this survey. Also, the budget documents that are produced by the audit reports produced by the Auditor General are not part of this survey, because they are outside or not within the scope of the county of counties. And I will take you to the methodology, which I have said it's simple and inclusive. Also, it's open, fair, and it can be applied fairly across all the 47 counties. So when we were developing the methodology of this survey, so we ensured that the tools were collaboratively done. And one of the key actors that were involved during the development of these tools was the civil society organizations, who are the key users, or making every day utilizing most of this budget information that we are seeking for their day-to-day engagements in budgets. Also, we involved government officials, both from the national and counties, and I know some are here who were involved. And these tools were developed in 2020, or the financial year 2020, and we will constantly be improving those tools. Also, in coming up with these tools, so we have a questionnaire that has 75 key indicators that are used to evaluate the level of information that are provided in the published budget documents. We realize that in the budget documents that are published, when you publish a budget document, it doesn't necessarily mean it has all the required details that should be, that citizens can find it useful for to utilize when they are making decisions. And also to mention is that all these questions or all the indicators are drawn from PFM regulations and guides. And some of the guides is the one for citizens budget, which is done by Council of Governors. Also, there are also others in the quarterly implementation reports that are also provided and also were considered. So one thing that to note there is also that all these questions are from government. And that one is that the draft results are shared with all the 47 counties. So in sharing the results, we share the results with 4 key offices. So Office of the Governor receive, the CC, Finance, the heads of budgets or directors also shared during the draft results in both phases. The one I mentioned, availability and comprehensiveness. And also, we don't forget county assemblies. We also share with the clerk, and we give them time to give us feedback on what kind, on the accuracy of the results that we have in those drafts. In doing so we expect them to give us feedback, confirming the accuracy. Because we have said that this survey is scientific and can be verified, or it's verifiable. When we also go to their website, they can be able to check and be able to see whether they really have that budget document or they don't. And the fourth one is, so this is also done by researchers, independent researchers distributed across counties. And currently, we involve 20 researchers and 10 reviewers and 4 senior reviewers who ensure there is quality checks across and consistencies across all the selected or all the picked suitable options in that survey. Also, the survey is open and raw data can be found in our website. So at the end of the launch, you can be able to find and verify the raw data to check whether it's what it reflects in the report. Yes, so on this, as I mentioned, so we have 2 components of this survey. So we have the availability component, which contributes 30 out of 100 points. When we talk about availability, we talk about the budget document being publicly available, either being published in executive or county assembly website. So publishing all those 10 key budget documents contributes 30 points out of 100. Then you see the comprehensiveness component is 70 out of 100 points. That means the level of information that is provided in those budget documents it's more important. So information that is provided is more important, but also as to also publishing that budget document. So the starting point is publishing that budget document, then comprehensiveness also is still very important. Also to mention is that in comprehensiveness component, we only evaluate one we only evaluate one implementation report, the latest publicly available per county. So we don't evaluate comprehensively all the implementation reports. We only evaluate one because across counties they are similar. And the total score would contribute to 100 points. And allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to take you through the findings that we found in this survey. So the finding number one is that counties are becoming more transparent, and so they are providing more information, but the pace is too slow. So saying the pace is too slow, as you can see, from County Budget Transparency Survey 2020, which we did or we launched last year, there's only improvement of 2 points to 35 points in the current survey that we are launching today. And over years, since this survey started, so the survey started in 2015, and we have seen progress in counties making efforts or publishing these budget documents. And in 2015, the first survey that was conducted, we found there were 20 counties that had no budget document publicly available. That has reduced, and the current survey, which is 2021, we are launching today, has only 2 counties that failed to publish a single budget document. Also, in the last 3 consecutive surveys, so we have also not seen improvements, though the pace has been, as I said, has been too slow. So when you compare the 2019 survey and the 2020, there was an 8% increase, but in the current one, we only had 2% increase. So in the budget documents that are publicly available, in 2020 we had 40%, and the current we have 42% of budget documents publicly available. But the index is the one which is displayed there, it's 35 out of 100 points. And so next. So the finding number 2 is that counties are not consistently making budget documents or budget information publicly available. So what do we mean by when you say they are not making this information public consistently? So you find there are some counties that stop publishing budget documents. Some do publish and have embraced these spaces to provide more budget documents, because all these budget documents are required to be published. And I will just use those 2 illustrations. The first one is showing counties that are the most improved when you compare with the County Budget Transparency Survey 2020. So in the current, or in the County Budget Transparency Survey 2021, we had 25 counties that at least published 1 more budget document as compared to the County Budget Transparency Survey 2020. On the other hand, we had 16 counties that at least stopped publishing 1 budget document in the current survey when you compare with the previous one. And as shown are just the 5 counties that publish more budget documents or provide more information. And on the other hand, on the right side is those counties that stop publishing, the bottom 5. And the first county that's the most improved is Kirinyaga County. In 2020, it had no budget document publicly available, meaning it had scored 0, but in the current survey, it's scoring 59 out of 100 points, being the most improved. We also have Nandi, which have improved from 10 points to 57 points. You also have Bomet, which have improved also from 10 points to 6 points. Mandera has also improved, and Wachia has also improved from 0 to 27 points in the current survey. The county that dropped the most is Tarakaniti County, meaning it stopped publishing most of its budget documents, or it's backslided. As I said, there are 16 counties that at least backslided or stopped publishing at least 1 budget document. We also have Siolo, we also have Marsabit, and we have Laikipia and Kilifi. So Kilifi case is also interesting. So Kilifi was one of the counties that had consistently published their approved program-based budgets over years. But in the current survey, it's one of the counties that stopped publishing the approved program-based budgets. More on that. So more on that is that consistency of key budget documents has also been noted. There are inconsistencies and there are consistencies. One of it here is that annual development plans and county fiscal strategy papers has always recorded an improvement or a constant growth in the number of budget documents that counties are making publicly available. For example, the annual development plans improved from 33 to 35 in the current survey, but also when you starting from 2015, they have constantly recorded an improvement over years without any drop. So those are the only 2 budget documents that have recorded improvements. We also have availability of program-based budgets, and there are only 4 counties that have consistently published them across 3 consecutive surveys from 2018 to 2021. So we have Elgeyo Marakwet, Laikipia, Nyeri, and Nakuru County that have consistently provided those important documents as approved program-based budgets. And I had said Kilifi is one of the counties that dropped on that list. We also have implementation reports which remain the least published across on average. There are some counties that have consistently provided them or published them over years, and they have been consistent in doing so. So we have 7 counties, an improvement from 5 in previous survey 2020. And the key finding number 3 is also a negative one, and this directly caused the comprehensiveness of the information, the level of information that is provided by thematic areas or on specific areas that we evaluated. So the first one is public participation. As you can see, counties are only providing 8 out of 100 points in the current survey. It's an improvement from CPTS 2020 when they had only 6 points. Still very low, or it remains very bleak. We will also come back to that. We have also information on capital projects, which counties only provides 29 out of 100 points. It's a drop from previous survey, and in that case, it's a challenge because how would citizens be able to understand the kind of projects or priorities if the information on capital projects are not provided? You have non-financial information which remains stagnated. So in the previous survey, we had 47 out of 100 points, and the current survey, we have 48 out of 100 points. Still, there is no much improvement on non-financial information, despite being the key area that is able to tell us what kind of impact can citizens be able to see on various indicators. We have also revenue information, which remains at 59, just a drop from previous survey. And one of the budget documents that were majorly affected by, which doesn't provide most information on revenue, is annual development plans. We found that 94% of published annual development plans could not provide information on individual breakdown of local revenue. They could provide that information, and only a few could provide. We also have information on fiscal responsibilities. There is an improvement. We also have expenditure information. On expenditure information, still also a challenge, as most of the CBROPs or county budget review and outlook papers. So we have 86% of those published could not provide information on below departmental level. That is information at program and sub-program levels. So key finding number 4. So as I said, it's on public participation, which I had said it remained weak, or the information is very, very low across all counties. Only 8 points were found to be publicly available. And what kind of information is evaluated on public participation? So the survey only evaluate the feedback that should be provided in these reports or in these budget documents. But one thing also to note is no approved program-based budget provided information on public participation. Despite approved program-based budget being the budget documents that are public participation, none provide information. Also, it's the same case to the survey that we launched in 2020, which all the 11 that were published during that time could not provide any information on public participation. And key finding number 5, counties are becoming more responsive to the quest of transparency. So when we shared our results, as I also mentioned earlier, is that we got 78% more budget documents that were published by counties. So from what we initially had and shared the results and give counties time to provide those budget documents, we found there was 78 more budget documents that went up. That is 87 budget documents that counties produce, but they don't publish. They produce and probably keep them somewhere, but they don't provide to the public for public use. Also, to mention also on that slide is that we found 46 budget documents was stopped by counties. And if they could not have stopped publishing those budget documents, we could have a better level of transparency. There could be an improvement of 9 more points from what we have from 35 to 44 points. only if counties could not have stopped publishing for 6 key budget documents that they had produced in County Budget Transparency Survey 2020. I will now present the key findings or specific results that we'll be able to see how each county, how individual counties are performing. So here is showing us the distribution of counties. So as you can see, most of the counties are between 21 to 40 points, meaning they are scoring D. In providing the information, like that 6% of the counties, that is 17 counties scored between 21 to 40 points. But what you can note is that there is no county that scored an A. So no county provided information that's more than 81 out of 100 points. So we didn't have any county. But when you come to the second batch or performance category, which is 61 to 80 points, we have 13% of counties providing, 13% of counties, that is 6 counties providing information between 61 to 80 points. And it's a drop from the previous survey when we had 15, which was 7 counties. There's a drop, the one county is dropping or moving towards the lower category. But also, from 0 to 20 points, you can see there is also a drop, meaning some counties move towards providing more information. So I said, though it remains low, but there is improvement. So in this next slide is just to present this result for each county. Probably we'll ask ourselves which county has performed best. And as it's shown on the screen, I will only illustrate probably 3 key points on this slide. So I will just mention the top 3 counties, those counties that stop publishing or that scored 0. So we have Nyeri County, which provides the highest level of information at 72 out of 100 points. We have West Pokot. We have West Pokot County, which provides 71 out of 100 points. And we have Elgeyo Marakwet, which has provided 69 out of 100 points. So those are the top 3 counties. Also, one thing that you'll be able to see is that West Pokot is one of the counties that dropped from 73 out of 100 points to 71 out of 100 points. What happened with West Pokot is that they stopped publishing one budget document, and in previous survey, it was the top. But also, one interesting thing also to note here is that the counties that appears at the top, as you can see at the lower pass, so there are 2 counties that are moving towards, so decreasing or moving towards 0. So we have Makueni and Laikipia County, which are the 2 counties that also were appearing on the greener end, or provided more information in previous survey. Also, I noted about Tarakaniti County, which you can see it's the yellow pass at the top. It's at the lower end, meaning it's stop publishing, or it didn't provide more information. So the one you see at the top, as the bus cross, you can see Isiolo and Migori County are the 2 counties that didn't provide any budget document publicly available. So they scored 0. And in previous survey, 2020, 4 counties had none of the budget documents publicly available. And I said there is a reduction to 2, which is a good improvement. We'll expect probably in the coming surveys, we'll have no county failing to publish even a single budget document. Also, another interesting fact here is that only 13 counties provide information more than 50 or more than half of the required information. Only 13 counties were able to provide that. The rest of the counties are below 50-point mark. So in the next is a map. So this is just distribution of counties. The greener are showing the counties that scored between 61 to 80 points, which fall under category of B. And the yellow ones, as you can see, there are quite a number, are those that scored between 21 to 40 points. And the red are those ones which scored below 20 points. And we'll move to the regional blocks, how counties are performing under each category. Okay. So we'll move to the regional blocks and we'll see how counties are performing under each regional economic block. So that's it. So as you can see, the regional blocks or counties have been categorized under each regional blocks that are available at Mariva Center. And what you can note here is that in the 6 counties that performed above 60 points, so most of those counties are within the North Rift Regional Economic Block. You will see therefore that provide more information. Also, you are able to see Nyeri, which is under Mount Kenya Regional Economic Block. It's one of the counties also that is performing well. And we have southeastern counties, which are 3, Kitui, Makueni, and Machakos. Also have one county that has performed well. But what to note here is, so there are good practices that are available in these regional blocks that counties should be able to share on those counties that are performing best and also those which are not performing well. For example, Jumuiya's counties of Pwani is one of the regional blocks that most of its counties are not performing well, and most are not providing implementation reports. So in the North Rift Regional Economic Block, we had 69% of budget documents being publicly available. When you compare with the counties in the Jumuiya's counties of Pwani, there were only 25% of counties providing such information. And finally, as I conclude, what needs to be done? So, in all of us who are here in this room, what can we be able to do so that we improve transparency in our counties? And one of it is, so counties should publish what they produce. So what I mean here is that they should be able to publish those budget documents they produce and in a timely manner. So the timelines are also provided in the law and they are clear. That counties should be able to provide those budget documents and make publicly available on time. And the second one is, so we have found that there are responsible national government institutions that are mandated or they have role in structure of budget documents. For counties to be able to provide enough information, there should be clear coordination on guidance or provision of guidance from National Treasury and Office of the Control of Budget to provide to counties so that they can be able to provide comprehensive information that meets the required, or that should be as required by the law. Also, there are good practices that we have found in this survey. So as I mentioned, there will be also some counties that provide more information in some specific budget documents. Despite those counties probably performing poor on transparency, but there are some specific budget documents that they might have performed well or provided more information. And in that case, they should be borrowed from such counties. And at the end, we'll have an appreciation of those counties that provide more information in each of those specific budget documents that they publish. And also the last one is, so we should be able to find ways, or counties should be able to find ways where they can be able to improve the level of information on public participation, especially on feedback and finding ways on impact, provide feedback to the citizens. One of good practices that we have found in this one is on the National Treasury, where during the budget policy statement, they have a section where they provide information or feedback to the citizen, where they are able to see what kind of priorities has been utilized and which one probably has been dropped, with clear justifications that they provide in those. So counties should be able to replicate that and provide a way that can be utilized. Also on peer learning, so I also mentioned on peer learning, we should also be able to find ways to collaborate with civil society organizations to be able to learn and utilize the information that's available on good practices, especially on the regional blocks. And I think that's the end, and we'll say thank you. We will also, this one will be, at the end of the launch, this one will be available for everyone. So you'll be able to find all this report on our website at internationalbudget.org. So we have the report, County Budget and Survey 2021 report. We have individual county summaries that for each county. So we have a two-page summary that provides key findings for each county and actionable 5 actionable recommendations, which tells county which information they had provided, what they should be able to do for them to be able to provide more information, and also what they had published previously. We have also the summary report, which will be shared. We also have the rotator available for everyone to confirm. We also have the questionnaire or the indicators also published in our website. We also have the supplementary budget modular piece that was also added, and it tells you what kind of information is provided on supplementary budgets by counties that publish that. We also have equity modular piece that's also published, and subnational budget transparency reflective piece. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kipkorir. I think it's important for me to recognize, having worked with Kipkorir for many years, that he's one of those guys who don't speak a lot, but the work that he's been doing has really been amazing. And I think really for us at the International Budget Partnership, together with all the colleagues in this room who have worked with him in this survey, we really appreciate his efforts. Please, another clap for him. So somebody asked me whether at IBP there is a rule that only slim people are the only ones who work there. I assure you it's only Kip and I. As you'll see as the others come, it's a slightly different picture. So let me take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the governor of Baringo County, Bwana Stanley Kiptis. Karibu sana. That club is actually because Baringo has been used in very many examples. So it's good to have you here. It's good to have you here today. Now, key takeaways. Number one, public participation. Feedback is important, as you've seen. It's one thing to hold public participation, is another thing to show what impact it's having on the decisions we are making in the budgets. I think Kip has made that very clear. Number two, counties are very responsive to this survey. That's a good thing. So, as is showed, when we share the results, the number of documents that were online went up by 78%. That is huge. And it shows that counties are actually more open. And for us, it's very encouraging in doing this survey to see that kind of a response. Number three, we still have a challenge about disaggregation of information. If we are trying to show what we are doing for, as I said earlier, for the different cadres of our society, it means we have to break down those budgets to the program level. Let's see what is going to nutrition. Let's go what is going to education, what is going to extension officers in agriculture. That information is a big challenge, as Diagon has shown. So I just thought from my perspective, those are three things I saw. But after the next session, we'll also hear from all of us on what we thought stood out for us. Now, I'll move to the next part now, where we hear from a couple of partners who engage a lot with county budgets, with their communities, and what their experience has been in trying to access information, and how, when they have that information, it completely changes the ball game. And I'm going to start from Mombasa, and I'll invite my colleague Josephine Yamai to come. Josephine, you have 5 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. For those of us who come from Jumuiya counties za Pwani, tuko kwa map kule chini, and also in these in the performance they are also down in the map, so we need to pull up our socks. So I'm here to discuss our experiences while engaging on budgets. And as you have seen, one of the biggest challenge or one of the biggest things that means for us, those that engage with budgets on a daily basis, is the ability for us to be able to access the information on a timely basis. And on a timely basis, we mean being in a position to access that information on the dates when those decisions are being made. And there are several provisions on when these timelines or when these information should be availed. So one of the biggest challenges has been accessing the budget information on time. For example, in this current financial year, we have had a short calendar, and therefore the ability of the budget champions and the grassroots communities whom we work with, when we do not get that information, then it becomes very challenging for us to be able to influence the government spending priorities and also to influence the kind of the services that are given and rendered to us as the public members. And as you have seen, another challenge is the public participation feedback. When we are called for public participation, we will show up. But after we show up, we really need to see the results or how our inputs or our views influence the decisions that we are discussing in our county government. And therefore, this has been a challenge. You have seen that counties averagely are availing 8% of public participation information. And therefore, the time during which we are accessing this information and also the time during which we are engaging with the county government, because the access to information enables us to have a timely dialogue with the county government and other government officials. And I'll just give a practical example. When the citizens are not in a position to get the information on time, then their discussion will not have anything to discuss in that meeting. Earlier this year, one of our counties in the coast, I will not mention the names, we were having public participation on CFSP and annual development plan on the same day. Now, what this means is that the public members will be so confused. Instead of discussing priorities, they are also discussing projects. And therefore, this leaves us in a position whereby we cannot really influence the decision that we really make. So access to information is really a challenge for us, and therefore, that is something that we would like to implore the counties that we work with to be able to voluntarily avail that information. And when you're talking about availing the information, we don't mean sending to some people. For example, where we come from in Mombasa, we are 1.2 million Kenyans. So if the information is sent to me, it is not accessible to the 1.2 other members, and therefore we are not in a position to be able to engage with those decisions, as this really becomes very important. All not lost. One of the other challenge is our ability to be able to track the government expenditure, because for us the key feature is public service delivery. Therefore, you have seen that the level of information that is even given in those budget documents that we access is also very limited, and therefore we cannot have effective dialogues. So if it is on annual development plan, we are discussing about priorities. If that information cannot have the information that we need, like the location of the projects, like the allocations, then even in the implementation we'll not be able to track. And also this brings me to the other challenge. Accessing quarterly implementation reports has been a very key challenge for us. And we have seen that from the survey, that is one of the least published budget documents. Therefore, we cannot track how the government is spending and utilizing our finances. So this is really to call to all the partners that we work with to be able to avail information on timely basis and in the website, and that we can access for free anytime, so that we can be able to engage and hold the government to account on the decision that they make regarding our location and also toward delivering services in our counties. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josephine, for your observations as well. Now, one of the things that civil society organizations try a lot to do in Kenya, especially many of those who are in the room today, IBP being one of them, is to build the capacity of citizens across the country so that they are able to engage better with the government, so that when the government is coming to meet with them, they also meet informed citizens who understand how the budget processes work, who are the key actors in those processes, and also what decisions are being made. So I'll invite Evans Kibet to share on his experience also working in Baringo County and in the general North Rift area on capacity building and what the kind of information we are discussing about today means in trying to build the capacity of citizens. Kibet, karibu, 5 minutes.
Your Excellencies and all protocol observed, good morning. Yeah, it's actually a pleasure to be given this chance to say something, and I hope what I'll say is something. So when I was told to share something on capacity building, I came across this quote by Ted Manson. I don't know this scholar so much, but what he wrote inspired me, and I hope it's going to inspire you. Let me just read part of it. Our people may lack certain skills, knowledge, or experience, and may need training and civic and education. But our people do have skills. So they may lack some skills, some experience, some expertise, but they have skills, they have knowledge, they have experience. And our people are not imbeciles. Sorry for using, it's just quoting the way it is. We are created fully fledged human beings who are quite capable of looking after our own children and fighting for their future. So when we talk about capacity building, keep this in mind. Why did I say this? I think when you talk about budget transparency, there has been a notion and an attitude, that's why I chose on this quote, that when you share this information, sometimes the Wanjiku, the Chebet, the Otieno down there may not understand, may not comprehend the information. Surprisingly, that is changing. I think each one of us in this room has come across either budget facilitators, budget coordinators, budget champions, or citizens in various formations who have really challenged our decisions in budget making. I am sure of that. And when you talk about budget, so that we even put into perspective why it's important to be transparent, the Constitution of Kenya vests the sovereign power in the people of Kenya. What that means is that Kenyans, ordinary citizens, all of us included, are decision makers. Decision makers, can you wave at me? Can you imagine this scenario? What would decisions look like without adequate, accurate, and timely information? It's disastrous. So when we do capacity building, this is the kind of change we want to see. And as a practitioner, I want to tell you, and the research has shown us that the journey has not been very easy. You want people to make decisions that are life-changing, that are transformative. But information is given in piecemeal, is given late, is given sometimes not accurate. And just to cite an example, sometimes, and I'm not pointing at one specific county, you'll find information given and then withdrawn, that was not the accurate information. And then we start, at the end of it all, we start blaming each other. I think you have heard these quotes, I'll just mention some of them. That pesa imekuliwa, that hawa wananchi hawajui kile wanataka, those kind of quotes, those kind of information, that feedback that is given. So my call to us, I know the journey has not been easy in capacity building, but then we are, courtesy of the people in this room, the goodwill that we have received from the counties, and it's even evident in the kind of representation in this meeting, that there is that goodwill. Courtesy of that goodwill, the support we've gotten from partners, and the dedication of the budget facilitators, budget champions, and community budget cells on any other CSOs, we are seeing a transformation. And it's, as much as it's not been easy, the problem and the solution is in this room. I see people here who can really provide strategic direction and say, as people wanted to be governed by this constitution in a transparent way, let's go that direction. It is possible, isn't it? So my call to us is that let's share accurate information, let's share adequate information, and in a timely manner, and you will see the capacity of the citizenry and even the government in terms of making decisions that are responsive will improve, and the Kenya we dream about will come to a reality. Asanteni.
Thank you very much, Kibet. I have worked with Kibet for, 8 years now? I did not know he was a philosopher. First time First time I have learned Kibet is a philosopher, so thank you very much. Now I will call the last person to speak from Busia County, Willis Mula. And Willis is a budget champion from Busia. And Willis is going to speak to us about where this kind of work meets service delivery, meets what communities are demanding from their governments. So Willis, karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Please forgive me because I'm from Western. Na lazima nianze kutuma salamu nyumbani. Your Excellency Governors, allow me to send greetings to our Governor, Sospita Ojamo, and our Director CDC, Mr. Francis Namuju, and all the team from Busia. My name is Mula Willis. I am a budget champion. Sisi ndo wale watu wa chini sana hapo kwa kutuma salamu. Alafu, the worst part is to present after Kipkorir, and now after him, after the big boys. But I'll try. For me, I want to say budgets are very important, and they are living documents because they inform life. They breathe life into people, so many of them or even few. Even if my eyes are red, please remember I was traveling at night. I've just arrived this morning. I'm not drunk. It's just sleepiness. But what I want to say too is that access to information is very important. And one that we have been denied, as Josephine has said, in Busia is implementation reports and also publishing supplementary budgets. Because sometimes we walk through the journey very well, but ikifika hiyo place ya supplementary budgets, then we don't see them on the website. But I'm not going to lament, as my colleagues have been doing. I want to say the little information we've been given, what it has been able to do for us. For me, I'm a budget champion from a very small village called Buhalalire Village Unit, among the devolved units as the Constitution says. We were able to make a very big difference in our community in terms of health because of having a little information and being empowered towards that, because they say information is power. So when you have information, you can be able to make the right decisions and be able to engage with the government, the governor, or whoever is in charge without fighting, because you are informed, you're not lamenting. So there was a small dispensary which was built by a lot of money, but I'll not go into that, call it of work. I know my governor can really cry on television, but now it had been stalled for quite some time, since devolution started. And it was just a structure, a building. It looks like a house, not a dispensary as per se, but a house. And so many of us were wondering what it is. And nobody knew what that building meant to that community. But again, when we started this budget work through CDC, I see Willis is here, my colleague Willis, my namesake, and the team, we were able to learn that was a dispensary which was built by around 5 million, which is a very small kiosk anyway. But that's a story for another day. So because now we're able to educate the community that this is a facility that was built by your resources and it's being stalled here. And we are suffering to get the services. We're walking kilometers to go to the next facility available to be able to get services. So now we took it upon ourselves now to start engaging the right holders, who are the ward administrators and the MCA at the local level. I'm not talking about the governor because we don't reach there easily. I'm talking about that small village unit level. So after walking through that, we're able to influence through writing memorandums, because we're informed on how to engage, not raising placards, tunataka haki yetu, but we're able to sit on the table and engage. As citizens, we want to get services. And we were using constitutionally recommended tools, which one is, have said, is use of memorandums. And in a small span of time, we're able to raise more than 50 memorandums sitting on that governor's table. And you know what that can mean to him, seeing every day people coming. Governor, people coming every day with memos, with facts, with what they want, and I'm telling you, you'll be able to accept what you wanted without fighting, just bringing a piece of paper and putting on your table which tells us where we are and where we need to go, and actually where we can get that money from that document. And we needed only 500,000, not so much. So imagine 500,000 being stored somewhere, and you have already spent 5 million. 5 million lying somewhere because of 500,000. So it means value for money, and also people not getting services. It's just a big problem. But again, after that engagement, we were actually able to launch that facility, and as I speak right now, people are getting services from that place. And it's a big plus for us. And we've been able to continue pressing on, and actually we have had another location to be able to have a laboratory placed there in the financial year 2021-2022, and we are hoping before the governor goes away, he'll be able to start doing something there to that facility so that we get the right services from that place. So for me, that's what I wanted to say, that getting information is a living testimony that you can be able to engage and be able to get the right services because we are entitled to them. Otherwise, thank you so much. I know he's standing there because I can talk the whole day. I'm paid to do that. But thank you so much for listening to me and being able to present that small information in front of this distinguished guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Willis. Yeah, I have to stand very quickly because I know Willis. Now, there are a couple of names that have been thrown around that I'm not sure all of us might know who they are. Let me request all budget facilitators and budget champions in the room to stand up, if you don't mind. All budget facilitators and budget champions, please, kindly. Now, those terminologies have been thrown around, and I think it's only fair that I say who they are. So, at IBP, together with our colleagues at Uraya Trust, we started a budget training program some years back, around 2015, that was meant to build the capacity of county-level partners to engage with budgets. And so those trainees are referred to as county budget facilitators. Now, for those budget county facilitators, they are supposed to work with community-level champions as well, so that that capacity does also not sit at the county headquarters. It also goes down to the village units, as Willis has said. And those are the people we refer to as budget champions. And each of the budget facilitators was to start working with 10 budget champions, but some of them now, like Kibet in Baringo, has, 55? Right, so the number has really expanded. So when you hear the terminologies, budget champions and budget facilitators being thrown around, those are the community champions that we work with at IBP, and we are really proud of the work that we do with them. Thank you very much. You can have your seats. Now, for the last part, my presentation is coming to an end. For the last part, as I said earlier, I shared what I thought I had Biegon say as he made his presentation. But I think it's also important for us to take 3 minutes to get at least to hear what the rest of us in the room and those who are also on Zoom, joining us on Zoom, to also share what they had, what they thought was surprising, but also what they thought they can do from where they sit, whether in government or outside government. And I'm going to ask the team that is dealing with the technology today to put up the Mentimeter presentation. And for all of us in the room and those online, please take out your phones. I assume that all of us have our phones with us. So what you'll do on your phone is you'll go to your browser and type www.menti.com as shown on the screen at the top. www.menti.com. When you do that, it will open up a little window that asks you to put a password. And the password that you'll put also is up there in that top line in the slide, is 76763511. You go to your browser, type www.menti.com, Then it will ask you to key in a code, and the code that you'll key in is 76763511. And the question is simple. What you had, what surprised you, what shocked you, and what do you think you can do about the gaps? You can put in several comments. The system is enabled to give you an opportunity to share a couple of times. And we'll do that in just 3 minutes. So what did you hear that surprised you? What did you hear that you thought that's something I can do? I can do something about that. Okay, and as you will see, your comments will pop up on the screen so we can see what everyone in the room and everyone on Zoom is actually saying. Some counties are retaining in the retaining bottom 10 positions. That there is progress. Again, glass is also half full, so it's not all bad. Lack of feedback on implementation. A lot of discussion around implementation reports. Budget disaggregation is everything. That is somebody who is very keen on the details that are provided in the budget documents. I'm surprised that some counties actually have information, but Wanjiko, Kibet, and Anyango do not know. So I will work with different organizations to get them more engaged. That's the kind of commitment. The only problem with Menti is that it's anonymous. Now we would have known who is that so that we hold them accountable for that kind of commitment, right? Siaya County improved from 23% to 45%. Somebody from Siaya has noted that their county has improved. So please keep typing in. As you can see at the bottom, there are already 78 comments, and it will be good for us so that all of us can share our feedback. And I think one of the things that is going to be helpful for us is that this is the kind of feedback that will help us improve this survey and will also help us in engaging with the budget facilitators and the budget champions that are in the room today. So this brings us to the end of the technical part of the presentations. And I will shift gears and invite my colleague and boss. He's my boss, so I have to say a couple of nice things about him. Rugo, karibu sana. And as Dr. Rugo comes in, the team from the tech will just show a small clip, also so that we can introduce properly the kind of work that the International Budget Partnership Kenya does in Kenya. So this is the end of our part with Biagon and the partners. Thank you very much.
The International Budget Partnership Kenya, IBP Kenya, is a Kenyan non-profit organization that started its work in 2011 to advance transparency, accountability, participation and equity in national and county budgeting processes. IBP Kenya's work focuses on strengthening the impact of civil society advocacy and citizens on budget policies and outcomes at both levels of governance in Kenya. Through deep and sustained engagement, IBP Kenya supports building expertise and skills of civil society actors and citizens involved in budget advocacy. Citizen advocacy, generation of evidence, technical assistance, learning and networking are integral components of IBP Kenya's work.
So our job is largely to build the capacity of citizens in their different forms of organizations. So civil society organizations, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, NGOs, INGOs working in this space.
IBP Kenya has stood out as a leader in the public finance management space by conducting cutting-edge collaborative research on topical issues that impact service delivery. The Kenya County Budget Transparency Survey, CBTS, is one such piece and is one of the few subnational budget transparency surveys worldwide. IBP Kenya has conducted the survey since 2015, where we assess the public availability of key budget documents and the comprehensiveness of the information availed in those budget documents.
We go and look at the county website and see what budget documents have been published If not published, then we do carry out an access to information request, ask counties to actually publish that information.
When devolution happened, you had a budget engagement space that was predominantly at the national level. So at the county level, we had these new governments that were doing their own budgets, that they had county assemblies that had powers to approve those budgets, but the civil society organizations were all at the national level.
Embedded capacity building is an integral part of our work, and we see it as a critical building block. Jointly with the Raia Trust, we run the most comprehensive and in-depth budget training program in Kenya, which in the last 5 years has successfully trained over 70 community leaders called budget facilitators, spread over 36 counties. They have, in turn, trained over 800 community influencers called budget champions, all of whom comprise the movement of budget leaders that sustains budget advocacy at every stage of the budget process. The sustained budget advocacy is mainly through the budget cafe model at the ward level, county and national level, which brings together budget champions and community members at different times during the 4 stages of the budget cycle. This collaboration has contributed to a wide reach for CSOs who now work in budgets.
One narrative is that citizens will not be able to understand budgets. That it's too complicated for them, which has been proven. Citizens can engage in a budget process and citizens can make a difference in their lives.
IBP is coming in to sort of bridge a gap that people have not been engaging in these processes.
Budget cafes are spaces organized by citizens in different counties and have become useful spaces to learn about the budget as well as prioritize their needs before they engage with official government public forums with a unified voice. This has helped build platforms for widespread participation in budget discussions, bringing together various components of IBP work in the process.
We have these budget cafes which are being used in Baringo and Busia where we are working, but also being replicated in other counties beyond where we actually are working by other budget practitioners. But also we are using it also at the national level.
Budget champions are community members who receive support to learn about the budget and play a critical role to mobilize their communities to engage with every critical decision of the budget cycle. Their enrollment from within community means they have strong social capital, which is key for sustained engagement with government processes, something that external players may not achieve.
There are 2 champions in every ward who are volunteers. Probably during the public participation, they can get only some assistance like food, because we don't pay salary. They are volunteers. They are 60 in number, cutting across the 30 wards. Those are the people well pressed to mobilize the public together with the chiefs and the assistant chiefs. We work together with the national government.
What we have purpose as an institution is that we equip them with information in good time in terms of what is supposed to be done, when, who is involved, but then we also point them to where they can get budget documents.
We've learned a lot on matters concerning finance, on matters concerning development. Because on finance, we have learned that each and every allocation of finance, it must be budgeted well, it must be evaluated, and must be followed, and ensure that the project has value to the community.
Jambo muhimu sana ambayo tungependa sana kufanya ni kuelimisha watu wetu wajue haki yao. Maana kila mmoja wetu akijua haki yake, lazima hii community tutaisongesha mbali.
Practitioners Learning and Reflection Seminar, PS, is a platform for reflection and learning for budget practitioners, broadly civil society organizations, CSOs, the media and other stakeholders, including government officials. The forum has become a place to reflect and deliberate on emerging issues and challenges affecting their diverse initiatives around governance, explore areas of collaboration, and share lessons learned in engaging with public budgets. IBP Kenya facilitates the PS annually.
The journey that we've started with IBP and going forward, I believe we still have a long way to go.
The budget champions now and their communities are engaging with those community members. We will have made a big move in capacity building.
appreciate the team for doing such an amazing job. Even before I acknowledge those who are in the room, one of the best things I have been privileged to do is to work with an amazing team. I cannot tell you just the kind of team that I work with. And kindly, IBP colleagues, please stand up. I know we think they are 39 in number or 45, but let them stand up. Kindly stand up, including Mokeira, who just left us. So the IBP team has 9 people. IBP Kenya team has 9 people. And you can see the kind of work they are doing. Shall we acknowledge them, please? You can sit down. Thank you so much. Your Excellencies, Fahim Twaha, Stanley Kiptis, and Mutahi Kahiga, Madam Maniza from UNICEF Kenya, Madam Josephine Kanyi from the National Treasury, Eunice Feather from Council of Governors, colleagues from across counties of Lamu, Nyeri, Baringo, West Pokot, Nyamira, Nairobi, and Kitui, colleagues from across the development partners who have been supporting this work, colleagues who have already been introduced before, budget facilitators and budget champions from across the country, 162 colleagues who are joining us via Zoom. Good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be able to stand and share with us this morning. I have been very passionate and excited about this work. As I was seated there listening to the presentation, particularly by Kipkorir Biegon, I'm sure the whole team in IBP Kenya is in shock because he's the guy who sits at the corner and just does analysis. But today we said, you will present what you analyze. We will not present for you. And hasn't he done a good job? He's done an amazing job. May I digress by saying that all of us can do amazing work. All we need is to be given opportunity. When Kipkorir Biegon came to our office for an internship program that we had advertised for, he walked in and I figured myself coming from the village, barely unable to express myself. And he gave us a story of how tea is planted. He made us appreciate that by the time you harvest a tea leaf, it takes about 36 to 48 months of patient, painful work. I told my colleagues, this is the man. If you can wait for 48 months to see results, you can handle anything in this world. And for sure, Kipkorir can handle anything in this world, including this work. Why do we do this work? We do this work because we are convinced that we are making a difference in this country. We do this work not just as technical analysis, and some of us are trained even to PhD level to do this kind of analysis, not because we are trained and trained well, not because we have jobs and good jobs for that matter. But we do this work because we believe that there is an Acheng, there is a Malim, there is an Onyango, there is a Kamau, somewhere in this country whose only hope is the public services provided by a public facility in any way you think about it. There are many Kenyans, millions of them, who cannot afford health insurance. Their only hope is that dispensary in their neighborhood. There are many Kenyans who cannot afford private schooling. Their only hope is that public school in their neighborhood. There are many Kenyans who cannot buy water from a boza. Those in Nairobi know the life of buying water from, lorries and tankers. You don't even know where it's coming from. But their only hope is that clean water, either from the river or from the well or through that connection that has been made. Those are the Kenyans who drive us to do this work every day. Sometimes we get frustrated, sometimes we get very disappointed, but every time we put back the picture of the person we are doing this work for, we get energized. And we do this because We know very well that change takes time. Back in 2005, I had just graduated from campus where initially I had gone to become a teacher of physics and maths. And I said I wanted to go and spend my life trying to contribute to the governance of this country. I got myself involved in the discussions of the Constitution of Kenya 2005. And the whole concept of devolution caught my imagination. And I imagined, what will the difference make if we have governments that are closer to the people and governments that are making a difference? What a difference will it make in this country if I don't need to try and find my way to Harambee House, or try find myself to Harambee Avenue? Most of government is on Harambee Avenue. If I come from Lodwar, but I can actually go to Lodwar town and be able to meet my governor. What a difference will it make if I come from Lamu and I don't have to travel to Mombasa to be able to see improved services, but I can access those services in that place. So when the devolution reality became in 2010, later on, IBP Kenya was just starting its work, and we decided we wanted to spend more energy and time helping to build the work of devolution. And we have done this, as my colleagues and as the video did explain, and transparency is one of those things that we are spending quite a bit of energy and time on. Not only is it important for holding governments accountable, not only is it important for advancing public participation in this country, but it is important because it matters for the advancement of the rights of Kenyans. It matters for the dreams of the children in this country to be able to achieve their desires. It matters for the youth. It matters for the women. It matters for the persons with a disability. It matters for you and I who think that we don't need public services because we have a good job. Many of us are between a hospital bill check and poverty, or losing that job. And the public services, when they are improved, when they are better, that is where our hope is. It matters for you and I to get public services we expect, and it matters for the progress of this country. And for that reason, we decided we will not do this work by ourselves. We are going to go out and spend time. The colleagues who have just been introduced, the budget facilitators, we spend with them 9 months. That's not a short time. And we had a difficulty convincing those who are funding us that we are going to do a training for 9 months. They asked, a training for 9 months, doing what? Now today, when we see the kind of work that is being done, you understand why it was important to go through that cycle. Because this is work that we don't want just to come and launch in Nairobi, but we want tomorrow a colleague in Lamu to be able to follow up with the governor and say, what can we do to improve our work? We want tomorrow Nelson to follow with His Excellency Kahiga in Nyeri and say, this is what else can we do to make a difference? We want tomorrow Kidede in Taita Taveta to be able to follow with the governor there, Samboja, to be able to say, we are not doing very well, but what else can we do? And that to happen in different places, in Nairobi, in Makueni, and every county of this country. So therefore, we want this work not just to be an end in itself with the research and with the analysis and the launch, but rather to go and inform decision making at the very local level. And therefore, we made a decision to do this collaboratively, to do the capacity building, and to advocate strategically. We believe that if each of us does what they need to do at the level they are in, then we can make a difference. And we can be able to build a community of practice. We can be able to make a change. But not only that, we also appreciate that Kenya is a leader. There are many buses that go to Mombasa, and they have very interesting phrases if you read at the back. There are those who we lead, others follow, and then there are others who lead the leaders. I won't mention which buses those are, but you know them. So we believe Kenya leads the leaders. And a lot of what has happened in devolution is now becoming the area. You know, sometimes on a light touch, I wonder why government of Kenya officials go for benchmarking. Yet we have everything here. Others are coming to benchmark with the kind of work we are doing. Now, this survey is contributing to that national. As my colleague has noted, it's one of the few sub-national surveys done across the world. And therefore, we want to be able to set the pace for others to be able to see how can you assess quality of information and all that. But we believe that Kenyans work hard and deserve more from their governments. That Kenyans deserve what is right, not just what is left. That Kenyans are willing to build their country and their counties, and all they need is mechanisms, information, a listening ear, and feedback on how their input has been used. And lastly, as we enter into the third cycle of devolved governments, we believe that we can now start focusing on the quality of services, on greater clarity of who is doing what, and greater accessibility of the services. Colleagues, that's why we are doing this work. And if I may make any appeal, is to appeal to you to join us. Those of you online, those following on Facebook, on YouTube, on our different pages, those online on Zoom, those present in this room, our appeal to you, let's join this movement. We can make a difference. This is our country, and we want to make a difference. To do that, we have a couple of colleagues that I'm going to ask to make remarks. And I'm going to ask them to really keep their remarks to just a few minutes so that then we can be able to progress. The first set of colleagues, I'm going to ask two ladies, Mrs. Josephine Kanyi, who is representing the National Treasury, a great partner at the international level, at the national level. She's a Senior Deputy Director in charge of Intergovernmental Fiscal Relations to make her remarks. After that, I'll ask Ms. Eunice Feather, who is representing the Council of Governors. Now, the reason why we don't have the top leadership of the Council of Governors is that we have the Afri Cities Conference next week, and I'm sure even the governors will be heading that way next week. And County Assemblies Forum also could not join us for the same reason. They have their AGM today, and therefore they sent their best regards and their apology for not participating for that reason. Please, after that, then I will introduce the other speakers. Please put our hands together as we welcome Ms. Josephine Kanyi to make her remarks.
Our Honorable Governors for Lamu, Honorable Twaha, our Honorable Governor for Nyeri, Mutahi Kahiga, and Honorable Governor from Baringo, Stanley Kiptis. The country manager, UNICEF, Mazina, Zamani, and the country manager for international budget and partnership, Dr. Abraham, other development partners who are part of this process, Diaconia, Luminet, SIDA, and NED, Council of Governor representative, the civil society who are here, all the teams from the county governments, and our great teams who are called the budget champions and facilitators. This is a subject at the core of our heart and the core of my heart as an economist and also as a person that has walked the journey of devolution since we came up with the first intergovernmental fiscal transfer, that is local authority transfer fund, to this date. And this topic, especially on budget transparency, is also a core issue for this nation, because devolution being linked with service delivery and being the core for which our citizens were yearning for a devolved government, I like the spirit of this survey because the survey is scientific, the survey is concerning engagement, consultation, collaboration. The survey is engaging public participation and feedback. The survey is like everything about the budget. All the budget document, the budget process, its formulation, its implementation, all the way to its reporting, all the way to actually seeing the projects on the ground and the fruits of devolution. And as I sat there seeing the findings of this survey, I was saying it is collaborating part of the work that indeed National Treasury is currently doing. For the last 3 financial years, we have placed the documents of all the 47 counties of the budget documents, all the way from CIDPs, ADPs, CSSPs, CBROPs, budget estimates, finance bills of all the 47 counties. And we've been analyzing them and just seeing the link in the last 3 financial years. Whether the documents are speaking to each other, their consistency, the comprehensiveness, and shortly we will be issuing a report as national government. Because as Treasury, indeed, if we are to provide leadership in economic and public financial management and development planning for shared growth through formulation, implementation, and monitoring of economic, financial, and development policies, then we must be leading the team of showing how best to do public participation. I believe we must show how best counties should implement their budgets. And just like National Treasury, County Treasury should model some of the best practices. I am not saying that it must only be one way. It is also the other way. Sitting in Treasury, I've learned a lot from the 47 counties. And if I could be given more time, I know I don't have enough time, I could mention one specific best practices of each of the county governments. Each of the county government. It then means we can learn from each other, whether it's public participation, whether it's budget implementation, whether it is how we feedback. There are counties that are very good at that, feedback after public participation, and I can continue on and on and on. I like the aspect that counties are becoming more transparent. I believe this is what Kenyans want to hear, though albeit at a slow pace. Counties not consistent in making budget information publicly available, but there are some who have kept the pace, and I'm sure they are front runners, and the rest will soon follow. The finding that budgets documents provide incomplete coverage, but still there are some which we have looked at, some which we have deeply looked at, and we have found some counties that are a model, that you can actually look at the completeness and the coverage of what is in their budget, and you would want to say, if only we can replicate that in all the other 47 counties, then we would be doing the right thing, so that in the next survey, we will see a big change. Then county government becoming more responsive. I agree with this statement and this finding. that some counties are way ahead of others, I agree. And I acknowledge Nyeri, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet for being the top 3 here. And even Migori and Isiolo. Although you've been listed at the bottom, it does not mean that there's nothing good we can borrow from you. It then means that we can work with you closely as National Treasury, and even those that were colored red counties, like Kilifi, Taita Taveta, Narok, Meru, Isiolo, Murang'a, Embu, Migori, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, I believe we've seen your documents in depth, because we are doing that analysis for the next 3 years, and we will come back and also feed back this information. One thing about National Treasury, we as staff are open at any time. You can call us as county governments. We pick your phones and we answer to your issues immediately. We do not hesitate to provide the direction that is required to make our budgets better and to influence the way we do public participation. So as National Treasury, we have been challenged here that we need to give clear guidance from our offices and also the Office of the Controller of Budget. I believe that capacity building, we will continue doing capacity building for our counties, and we will continue to showcase some of the good aspects, not only just through circulars and guidelines, and but actually practically being with you people on the ground, and also learning from yourselves, and trying to make sure that we replicate the best practices and we throw away all the bad practices. And at the end, the 47 counties will be at the top. Thank you.
Excellency Governors present, we have Governor Kahiga from Nyeri, we have Governor Twaha, Lamu, Governor Kiptis Mwalimu, karibuni sana, and Madam Maniza, UNICEF representative, our host, Daktari, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. I think this is one of those rare occasions when you get to see some of the facts or statistics that can be substantiated, given that we have evidence of people who've been to the ground, and we can do nothing but just appreciate. Can we take a moment and just appreciate the team that has done this work? Allow me to register the apologies of our CEO, Madam Mary Mwiti. I'm standing here on her behalf. She's engaged in another session and she asked me to be here on her behalf. So I'll be standing here not in my capacity as Eunice Feather, but I'll be here in the capacity of the CEO of the Council of Governors. Just in brief, allow me to just, one, begin by mentioning that transparency requires me and you. So who is transparent to the other? It is a cycle that looks at both the government, the citizen, and all the stakeholders involved. So for me, it's a cycle where we have the government, we have participation, and we have citizens, and then we have the transparency of the information flowing, and it goes back to our government, who is feeding into each other. So this will only happen when we realize, one, we have a clear policy framework. A lot has been done in as far as policy is concerned. Public participation. I remember as a council we developed a model policy together with the Kenya Law Reforms and the Ministry of Devolution, and a lot of counties will tell you they have public participation policies. that has been done, the next thing we ask ourselves, well, have we focused enough on planning? Right now we are at the space where the National Treasury under the State Department of Planning is developing and reviewing the guidelines that will support the development of the third generation of CIDPs. And I think it's very strategic given that public participation is core to what is going on. And I believe that part of the findings here will build into that process so that we have a full cycle that then speaks to planning and reporting. There's implementation. We do a lot in as far as preparation is concerned and planning and budgeting. We've budgeted, so what? What next? How involved are we in the implementation phase? Do we involve the citizenry at the space when we are implementing the programs? Do we get feedback that we are on the right track? I liked the gentleman who spoke about a health facility that was standing somewhere. How are we involved in the implementation? At what point did that facility stall? It meant that somebody failed along the way. It may not necessarily be the government. Where was the citizenry at that point? We have to check accountability on both sides. What are we doing to sharpen each other to ensure that service delivery is done? It can only happen if we participate in the implementation and, more importantly, service delivery. How do we ensure service delivery? The last mile, which is coming, the next crop of leadership as we transition as a country, we are looking into leadership that will ensure that there's service delivery at the local level. We've been putting in place structures. The counties have been there for 9 years. This is the 10th year. The thing we're asking ourselves, are we seeing service delivery? And that is the push, even from the council. We want to see service delivery to our citizenry. Even as you listen now in the politics in this country, I'm not supposed to speak about politics because I'm not a politician. But the question we ask ourselves, when we listen, are we listening to service delivery for our people? And you would hear, actually, every person is speaking about service delivery. For me, the report here today is driving us towards ensuring service delivery. It can only happen if we are participating in the planning. We have clear policies, participate in planning, ensure transparency through the cycle, we end the implementation, and ensure that Mwananchi receives the necessary services that they need. I was asked when I was coming in, what has the council done to ensure that there is transparency? And I'll mention just a few of the cases and the things that have been happening. One, we have been engaging the ESCC, for instance, and I know the governors here would attest to it that we have a work plan and an MOU to work closely with ESCC to support counties and county leadership in ensuring that there's transparency. We have been working together. The council has adopted the performance management framework, and the governors here, including Governor Nyeri, will tell you, to ensure service delivery, the county is assigning to performance contracts, which speaks to issues of public participation, budgeting, ensuring inclusivity, bringing in issues of social justice into planning. And then more importantly, I don't know whether you will follow this closely, the state of county address. A number of governors give state of county address. Under the council, we give the state of devolution address. Within that, we actually provide an opportunity for the citizenry to hear what is happening within the devolution space. So the question we ask ourselves, by the time it's coming from the national level, what is happening at the local level? So for us, it's just to basically ask that we work more closely together, even as we look into this survey, disseminate it further. And I see a lot of synergy in the whole process. One of our core mandates as a Council of Governors is to consider matters of common interest. And I can tell you for sure, budgeting and planning processes is a matter of common interest, not just to the Council, but also to every citizen. And that's why the country thought it necessary to give that mandate to the Council. So this is very important. It's one of those things that we're taking very seriously. We look into capacity building, not just for the council, but also for the counties, supporting them in these areas. And the most important one is the knowledge sharing and learning. We have done a lot in as far as knowledge sharing and learning is concerned, and I'm looking forward to building collaborations from here. Daktari, asking ourselves, how do we then create a forum where counties can learn from each other in as far as this survey is concerned? We don't need to visit. We don't have all to flock into Nyeri County, otherwise things will come to a standstill. Remember, it's a political period. The governor needs to be campaigning. So we would not do that. But there are other platforms. COVID has taught us that we can learn in a different way. So for me, one of the takeaways is to work closely with the team here in seeing to it that counties learn from each other on these processes. What is it that County X can do that it's not doing? It's not that there's no information. We have the information. It's just that the presentation of the information when it's needed is what is wanting. And how do we ensure that is coming out? Iron sharpens iron. And it's a county that will sharpen another county. I don't think we need to travel out, like he mentioned, to learn from each other, but we can do that. Lastly, allow me to just say that this survey is very critical. And basically from the National Treasury, we will be tasking you to ensure that part of these findings finds in the ways in the guidelines for the CIDP development. And of course, we want to appreciate the input of partners, the civil society, and UNICEF. We work closely with UNICEF, and we're currently actually working with counties on ensuring that the budgets are child sensitive. So we ask ourselves, how are we going a step further in ensuring that we work even with the directors, not necessarily the people at the top, but the people who really do the budgets themselves, to ensure that we are specific and that the people understand that the social sector issues are captured in our budgets. And lastly, allow me to say this. There's somebody who mentioned here that they kept, the gentleman from, I believe it was Kericho, when we were talking about tea, that it took 36 months to look after tea, or to ensure that tea grows. But allow me to say this. There's a good book that says there's this woman, the widow, who kept going to the judge. I want justice, I want justice, I want justice. So let's not tire going back to ask, we need justice, we need service delivery. Let's not stop. They say, tell them even if they know you need services. But even if you think they know, keep telling them. God bless you.
And I can assure you we will not stop. I've been at it for 15 years. I'll keep doing it. We also want to acknowledge the First Lady of Baringo County. I'm told you are in the house. If you could just stand, because I don't know where. Please kindly just stand up. We acknowledge you. Let's just clap for her. Appreciate her for coming. Thank you so much. I want to now request the excellencies in the room to make brief remarks. We don't have two of them on the program because we got the confirmations fairly late before we had printed, but we deeply, deeply appreciate that you could come. I'm going to start with the last to arrive. They say the last shall be first. His Excellency Stanley Kiptis, I'm going to request you to just make 2-3 minute remarks, and then Mutahi will speak a bit slightly longer. We had requested him to prepare. Kindly. Let's appreciate him.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm a Christian. Bwana asifiwe. Allow me to thank God that I'm here. I was almost missing, but I was reminded by the letter that you sent to us. It came in both ways, hard copy and also soft copy. So after getting it through soft copy, that's why I'm here. Dr. Mugo, the three governors who are here is a representative of all of us. My brother, Governor Kaiga from Nyeri, congratulations. My brother Twa from Mombasa, no, from Lamu. It's a coast region. God is gracious. I want to thank also our sister, Madam UNICEF representative. Allow me to appreciate IPP for the good work that they've done to us, the civil society. Now, the ones that I should actually stand up and say thank you, our champions, our great champions, and the facilitators on the ground. We are working as a government. Thank you for realizing that it is not about the governor. It is not about the executive in that county, but it is about us. Can those of us from Baringo please arise? I've seen the CEC Finance. I've seen this and his team. I've seen also County Secretary. Yeah, thank you. Sumu Salamike. We can't go far if we work alone. We can't do much as a county government if we work alone. And I like the approach that is in this room. That's why we are like happy. It's not about an exam. It's about socioeconomic development. It's about Kenya. So while you're presenting here, I see the way we love Kenya. And I remember Mutua when I was just sitting here. Nachifunia kwa nani? How do you do this? My sister Kanye and my sister Feda, the talk from Treasury to me today is very encouraging. Many times they only look for transients to destroy leadership. But here is about working together, working together. I can attest here, and all of us can attest to the fact that devolution is alive. And we can see the fruits. Much as there's something here that I don't want to go into. Backsliding. You know, backsliding to a Christian requires one to repent very fast. So those of us who are backslided, I think out of the talk today, we are repenting. We are repenting, you know. Because where we need Kenya to go is that each and every county, from that point of view, will ensure that we don't leave each other behind. We don't want where we shall see part of Kenya being Singapore and part of Kenya being another country that I don't want to mention here in Africa. We wish to grow together. Now, because I'm there as an implementer, allow me to simply say that your concern about the feedback is key. We need to come up with a very structured feedback loop, which does not only start from priorities, but there is a monitoring system that the public can be allowed to utilize so that they may put us on our toes. I think that should be there. Probably I want just to mention here that, you know, counties don't also get equal share of revenue. So we might try to bite more than we can swallow. And that becomes also a disadvantage in some counties. To the extent that to present a budget in a manner that is open, and yet you have not done as much as you should do, is like eating yourself on the foot. And that's why you see some counties are not really becoming so open. It is good to be sincere. But that does not mean that we are not open. Another important aspect that I would wish that we also consider is, much as you have said, Banagibet, that the level of the understanding of the people, the citizen, is to some extent certain position. But I'm still wanting to really present this, that we still want to engage our public. Probably create another avenue for us, the professionals, and for us that are busy. Yeah, let's embrace technology so that those of us who are busy but have something for us in counties can actually use that platform to give us the priorities and also engage with us as a county. Because who is this person who is in that public participation? Yet it is done between Monday and Friday. Guess who? Between Monday and Friday. So guess who? So what's the quality and the magnitude of the priorities? It is more in the hardware. Just hardware. It's about water, it's about road, it's about hospital. What about welfare? What about other developmental avenues that can actually bring socio-economic development? So that is my remarks. I wanted to simply say, I want to appreciate what you have done, but let's also create another platform that will allow the professionals to engage with us as a county. Ya mwisho, my sister also in Treasury, let's have also another way of ensuring that resources reach us in a manner that does not allow us to demonstrate, or in a manner that will not allow us to be also like pulled by the public. Let's have, if it is quarterly, let's have resources quarterly. Sometimes you can stay until we wonder whether you want counties to fail in order for us not to get elected. So our wish that we have an organized or a manner that will actually, like the way you're doing for agencies and other bodies. Let counties, if it is about after every 3 months, let's get in a manner that will allow us also budget and plan well. Lakini kwa hiyo mengi si tumefanya bidii jamani? Tumefanya bidii. We are going to continue engaging and involving the citizen, because as the governors we have known, if you only become the only one who comes out with a project, you only decide this one. If that project fails, you also fail. So what we have learned is work with the people. Let them give us what they want us to do, and we work with them. We do the costing. Ours just to do costing, and we work that journey. So governors, let's borrow from each other. The issue of beer learning is key, but let's also maybe the civil society, our partners, because you know our resource envelope is sometimes limited in that side of capacity building. Allow me to continue requesting that you support us in that side. Karibu, Your Excellency, Governor Tua, Lamu County.
Good morning, everybody. I'm pleased to be here today to make my small contribution to the discussions we're having. I was pleasantly surprised when I was told I was going to be awarded a certificate or a prize or something, which I was not aware that there was an examination process for the award of this kind. I still don't know what the prize would be, but I'm looking forward to it with anticipation. Anyway, having sat through the discussions, I now know that it's about sharing information with the public, and apparently you can score marks for that. And of course, now that I know, if I get re-elected, I'll try harder. But I want to thank my officers who have been doing this work in the finance department and in the information department for uploading the information as and when required. And of course, the prize really belongs to them. I'm just receiving it on their behalf. And I will gladly receive it and send it to them, and I hope it will motivate them to try harder in the future. Having said that, as I sat through all the speeches, I came to realize that we have indeed come a very, very long way. There's still work to do, but we have come a really long way. I was first elected to Parliament in 1997, and it was a very, very different time. To begin with, what is relevant to this discussion we're having today, I don't recall there being a lot of public participation at the time. I don't recall there being communication tools available as we have now. We had an entire administrative division which had only one call box. And even the call box was the one where you had to twist the handle. And then the operator would listen to everything that everybody said in the village, and he was the conveyor of gossip, I would imagine. And now everybody has a mobile phone. Some have two SIMs, some have more than one, some have the smartphones, and some have the normal phones which can only do SMSs. So we should need to take cognizance of this fact that we should not be comparing apples and oranges. Madam Nyamai talked about Mombasa having 1.2 million people. Now Mombasa has that 1.2 million people, but if you try to fit it into the map of Lamu, you'll find it occupies a very small space. So it's easy to communicate, it's easy for people to come to the meetings, if you call them for public participation. And the poverty levels also are different because, okay, some of us have access to telephones, but like I said, we don't have access to the internet. So it's an unequal environment, and the competition needs to take into account these handicaps that some of us have. And then being the government, the county government, we want to please our customers. And if we feel that this media or this medium is not going to reach our people, we're not going to bother much with it. Because I know in Lamu now, very, very few people buy newspapers. And even in the old days when they used to buy, they would buy yesterday's newspaper, and it's only a few teachers who could afford to have it. So I would not bother to look for headlines. I would have to go to the villages and talk to people one-on-one, and then the message would come across, and I also will learn from them what the priorities are. Which brings me to another topic about CIDPs and these plans that we have. They need to be a bit flexible and allow room for politics, and sometimes things come up which you did not anticipate. They should not be straitjackets where they tie our hands, and then when something does come up which is genuine, a felt need of the public that we serve, we find we have so many constraints and restraints in actually delivering that public good that is being demanded. And this, of course, is not for this venue. Maybe the legislators need to know about it. But of course, some of you are in advisory positions or will be elected as legislators in the coming few months. And I'd request that you keep this in mind. But I'm very pleased to be here. I'm glad that we're having this participation, this encouragement of participation, and I hope we get the results that we desire, and we serve the public. We are privileged to serve in an even better, more efficient, and more responsive way. With those remarks, I say thank you, and I'd like to invite Honorable Kahiga from Nyeri to come and give his remarks. Thank you.
Asante sana ndugu yangu kutoka Lamu. Excellency Governors present, my brother and colleague Stanley, my brother Twaha, bado hujanitafutia ile shamba tulikubaliana. UNICEF rep, Madam Manisa Zamani, Daktari, and the lady I've just met, Madam Josephine Kanye, na Madam kutoka kule kwetu Council of Governors, mabibi na mabwana hamjambo. Just before I speak, I want to invite my team to come here because this is not my day, it's their day. Wapi my CEC Finance na team yake, and your team, and your team, and your team. And your team, the CPROF, watu wana deal na CPROF, wanajijua hii watu hii. This is the team. Hawa ni support staff, wachana na hawa, iko wale hawa wanne. Thank you very much. This is the team that has worked so hard, has ensured that we are where we are, and it is only right for them to share this podium with me. I would also want to note one very, very key guy who has given us a lot of sleepless nights. This young man is short. He is the color of Nyeri, and he is Nelson Maina. This man. He has been on our toes and has made sure that we have what you have presented today. So, ladies and gentlemen, kindly appreciate this team. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. Thank you. If governors are able to promote you, mutapata. And so here, ladies and gentlemen, receive greetings from the mountain. For those of you who just read about Nyeri in the news, Nyeri lies between two mountains, so we have a right to be at the top. We are on one side, we are hugged by the Abadeas. On the other side, we house the highest mountain in Kenya, Mount Kenya. And so, sitting at the top, I think we are at the right place. But ladies and gentlemen, looking across this hall, I see the future of Kenya. There are a few of us, myself, Kiptis, even Madam, and a few others, who believed that presidents don't die until Kenyatta died. As we were growing up, the presidency was something you just lived in awe with. In fact, I remember in 1978, when it was said that Kenyatta was dead, we thought now that was the end of Kenya. I was 18 years old that time. But we have come to realize that governments are not perpetual and leaders come and go. Sometimes I wonder when I listen to people talking about Constitution 2010, and Kenyans were speaking loud and clear, and you know what they were telling us? We are tired of a central government where decisions are made for us without our involvement. And that is why we devolved into 47 units that then later should be devolved into 1,450 wards where decisions should be made. And that is why we are here. Now, when I listen to leaders in Kenya struggling to create positions by trying to talk about changing the constitution to create positions, I ask them, do you really know what Kenyans wanted when they chose to go the 2010 constitution? They were saying, like now, if we ask, how many of you got a call from national government to approve the building of the new highway from Westlands to airport? How many of you? How many of you? How many of the people in Mathare were asked to say whether they wanted a road where they needed to pay toll or they wanted a road that they could walk around? Those of you who don't know, majority of Kenyans are saying this is only a way of the rich to avoid the daily hassle of jams, and they have decided because they can afford to drive on top. So they will be looking at us where we are, and that is the understanding. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we sit here today, I want to appreciate IBP, because what it's saying is key and core in our thinking. That we should not wake up one morning, Governor Kiptis wakes up one morning and decides that the people of Tiaty need a new airport. And if you ask him, nobody there has ever even seen a plane. Kahiga wakes up one morning and says, because I have a legacy to leave, I am going to build 10 towers on top of Mount Kenya. That is the message. And how do we get there? By simply opening up government and saying, this is us and this is our government. Many of you, how many of you have ever even been to the State House? But many can walk to the governor's house. I do remember, Kiptis, when I was hardly a month old, the citizens of Nyeri came into my compound, and there is a song for the Agikuyu who know, which goes, Kahora mwalimu, ne woka mono. You know, I don't know whether you understand that. It says, I am a teacher, and they were telling me, pole pole mwalimu umekuja sa, try that in the State House. You get my point? And so, there are a number of key specifics that the people of Kenya wanted in the 2010 Constitution. For me and Kiptis and my age mates, we may have lost this opportunity. But for you that I can see that will be here in 2021, in 21-20 or in 21 whatever, because there is a future, it is important that you remember that the people of Kenya wanted to speak about good governance. They wanted to speak about integrity. They wanted to talk about transparency and accountability. And transparency is not what you say, it is what you do. Sijui kama tunaelewana? That the people of Kenya must be able to interrogate what you are doing with the money they pay and the money that they receive as taxes. It's that simple. So we have endeavored as a county government of Nyeri to ensure that the processes are people driven. For those who may know, Nyeri was the first county to effect what we call ward specific fund. It's not in the PMF, but we decided we wanted decisions made at the ward, because we have 30 wards and 30 wards that are unique. It is pointless to go and talk about coffee in a ward called Mogonda in Kieni, because they don't even drink coffee, let alone grow it. They only deal with cows, dairy farming, and that is where they should make their decisions. And while you are thinking about how you will give them artificial insemination free of charge, the people in a ward called Agodi, where they grow tea, are asking, can you give us tea bushes? That's the understanding. And so, the only way we can realize what the people of Kenya envisaged is to stop as politicians thinking about the next election and think about the next generation. That is what we need to do. Politicians, me included, must understand and believe that some of us chose to go into politics, but we should not die as politicians. Serve and go. It is okay. I think it is important that our people know that it is okay to serve, and when your time comes, just walk away. But unfortunately, some people will say, let us hush the documents, let's not allow transparency so that we can plan for the next election. My brother, my sister, that is not the way it should be. We should be as inclusive as possible. We should bring everyone on board, and beyond everything else, let us run transparent, open governments, because after all is said and done, it must be a government of the people, for the people, and run by the people. One other thing that we say, just before COVID, the county government of Nyeri, in the office of the governor, opened every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to whatever time for anybody, wananchi, to come and talk to the governor and tell them what they wanted. It is a tedious exercise. They used to come at 4 a.m., pick numbers, and you would still be in office at 9, listening to them with their unique problems, but still help to solve them. Some people have problems they don't know how to solve, but because they believe that walking into the governor's office, they will get solutions, solutions are found. We must open up government for our people. Let us stop creating ivory towers where we are not available. And if you as a person are not even available, why did you ask for this job? I think it is important that you step aside and let those that would be available come and be, because there is this mistaken thinking that every time a citizen comes across a governor, they will ask for money. You will be shocked. They are not interested in your money. Even for an MP or whatever kind of leader you are, every citizen who comes to you, some will give you ideas. Some will give you opinions. Others will critique you. Others will tell you where it is not right. And a few will tell you they have problems that you can solve. I have seen that for the last 2-3 years until 2020 when we had COVID and we had to close. Ladies and gentlemen, as we sit here, as we come to celebrate, we must also recognize the work done by IBP. This is a very, very bold move. Nobody, Kiptisi will tell you because we are teachers, nobody loves the exam. I have always loved education, but I hate the exam part. All of us. But really, ladies and gentlemen, we must agree, whatever gets measured gets done. I am glad my brother Twaha has said it. Many of the governors don't even know these things. In the first year, I was ranked number 47 or no, 45. And I asked, in what? I was told there is a program called KDSP, Kenya Devolution Support Program. I didn't know about it in my first year, and I was number 45 out of 47. I said, how? I called my team and asked them, what is this? They told me, Governor, what happened? They explained. The next year, I was number 2. Currently, I'm the best. The other day, I was ranked number 1 in something they call the PPRA, Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. I don't know if my brother, some of these things should be made public to the governors so they understand and they'll be able to push, because governments are a behemoth. I can tell you, these officers can make sure you have very little information in yourself. Because if they open up and just make sure that they usually have meetings, how are we going to plan the day for the governor? So they come. And they brief you and they tell you on all the good things. Wait until you go to the ground. So governors must also look for a way of going beyond the government bureaucracy to know. Like you have had my colleague say, he didn't know there was such kind of ranking. Now he does. Do you think next year it will be what you see? And don't say if you'll be elected. Talk about next year, my brother. We have done a good job, isn't it? So that next year as you come here, the only thing we can say is that Kahiga will have risen from 72 marks to around 80, while you will have come to around 70. That is the way to go. I think that is the way to go. And so, as a county government, we endeavor and we promise to ensure that we keep fighting on. We will ensure that we have best practice. And above all things, we will involve our citizenry. There is an area that was highly pointed to us, the feedback. Because yes, we do public participation. I know it varies in different places. When you get there, some are asking for fare, others are asking for money. Your opponents have sent people to just come and throw the wrong things in the whatever. But whichever kind, let us do public participation. But let us not stop at that. Let us also get a feedback, because that is something I've picked that we are not really getting. We promise to go and work hard, make programs that we can receive feedback. As we focus on the public participation, let us also remember that in this country, nothing moves unless you provide money for it. So let us be deliberate in our provision of budget for public participation and also for feedback, because I think that hasn't been happening. I want to assure the public and all of us that we as governors will continue doing our very best. Even our brother Isiolo, who is now at the bottom, I'm sure there must be a challenge somewhere. The documents are available, because Madam Josephine can tell you, a matter of fact, no government can move unless it has those documents, because our approvals come from Treasury. But you see, because some funny officer decided to be just lax and is not doing their work, then they don't even upload. You even need to know whether there is a website. First and foremost. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I am humbled, and on behalf of the people of Nyeri, I want to thank all of you for recognizing our performance and promise to do even better. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I didn't know you were such an animated speaker, and therefore very excited to listen to you. We share, as I said, I was trained as a teacher of maths. Whatever happened, I don't know. Good. I also want to acknowledge the county government of Elgeyo Marakwet. I'm told they are in the room. Wherever you are, just lift up your hand. I know we are. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Let's appreciate them. We have appreciated the others. We're almost bringing this to a close, and thank you so much, Your Excellencies, for being very vulnerable. We know very well that it takes a lot, and we don't take it for granted, by the way, the kind of job that we give to public leaders. Often, sometimes I feel like we give our public leaders roles that we don't expect them to perform because we ask too much sometimes. And Kenyans, maybe the other thing I would urge us is also to think, do we pay our fair share of taxes? That's, I know, can be a debate until evening, and I will not open it up. At this particular time, I want to invite our keynote address speaker. We ask her purposely to come and share. Not so much because IBP Kenya is partnering with UNICEF, but because we know from her track record and her colleagues who are also in the room, they are passionate about these things. So it's not just something they are speaking from their mind, written speeches for them and all that. I mean, if you check Maniza's profile, you will know that she's been in Kenya before. So she came back and she loves this country. But one of the things we have noticed with our colleagues at the UNICEF is just the passion that exudes. I didn't say it earlier, but now I can declare one of my leading mentors is actually with UNICEF globally. Dr. Wycliffe Otieno, you might know him. He's been in South Africa for a long time. And the passion that oozes from Ndenge to Anna, to Dr. Simiu, whom we work with very closely, to Chege, to James Wagalwa. I mean, there are many I can mention, I can try to. It tells you that you are passionate, and you're passionate about children. I think that for me, it never used to occur to me until I got children of my own and a few other people here. James Muraguri, I know you're there. We are trying to parent as we try to check PFM things. And now we appreciate. John now appreciates. He has a 1-year-old. Now his tone has changed a lot. He's become more gentle. He works far much less hours. At least he's in bed by midnight nowadays. Oh yes, unless the baby is up. So we appreciate that, and therefore it's my kind pleasure to invite Maniza. If you could put our hands together as she comes to share with us.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency, Governor Kahiga from Nyeri, who I have interacted with before on an equally passionate topic, which is around early childhood development. Your Excellency, Governor Twaha from Lamu, Your Excellency, Governor Kipsis from Baringo, our partners at IBP, our partners at Treasury, our partners with COG, the civil society partners here, and so many of you on the ground, so many of you online. I just want to say a very good, I guess we're still in the morning, good morning. It's really a true pleasure to be here today at this launch of the Kenya Budget Transparency Survey. I think it's important sometimes to just take a few steps back and think about which moment in history we're in. And actually, before I do that, I wanted to say it's going to be such a tough act to follow after our politicians have spoken. I'm not a politician. I'm an international civil servant, as we are called. We go to serve from country to country. This is my second time in Kenya, as was mentioned before. I'm very fortunate that I was given an opportunity to come back to Kenya. I was here before devolution. So for me, this is amazing to come back and see what devolution has done, but importantly, the promise of devolution as well. So let me go back to where we are in this moment in history. We're in 2022. We are 8 years away from 2030, the time which basically the world agreed that we would reach the Sustainable Development Goals for all of us. The Sustainable Development Goals really put a focus on people, on planet, on peace, on prosperity, on partnerships. And in the current trajectory, and especially with COVID-19 and with some of the global crises that we're seeing, the question is, are we going to reach that promise? Is Kenya going to be able to reach its promise? And I suppose the answer maybe is clear. It's going to be difficult to reach that promise that we made for 2030. But it's not impossible. And part of that journey is about making the right choices, making the right decisions, setting your priorities, resourcing your priorities. But the priorities are all about the people. And I think let's remember that global context and how Kenya fits into that. And for Kenya to reach the SDGs, SDGs must be reached in every county, in every sub-county, in every ward, in every village. Otherwise, Kenya will not be able to reach that. So that is, in some ways, the bigger picture. And so then the question is, okay, this is interesting, so why UNICEF and why UNICEF at this podium? And that's what I'd like to start with, maybe picking up from what was said before. Why has UNICEF invested in this topic and the broad-based partnership around this issue? UNICEF is here because of this. Because of this child who is representing 46% of your population. Almost half your population in Kenya are under 18. It's not a small number. Their welfare matters, their future matters, and the decisions that are made today impact children. The future matters because it is their future matters, because it's really key for the social and economic development of Kenya. It is key for your country. And much of this welfare for children is hinged around the well-being and how these services are being delivered for them. Through devolution in Kenya, we believe that the counties are actually best placed to deliver many of the essential services for children and for, of course, the other citizens. And hence, it is key that county governments make best use of the funds that they have, so that the funds provide what is needed for the people, use the funds to reduce poverty, use the funds to reach the poorest, the most disadvantaged, including children, with quality public services, as was mentioned before. So here today we've been talking about the link between the needs of the people and children and the optimal use of the available funds. And so the question that we all ask ourselves is there a link? How do we know that there is a link? Is the information out there for every citizen to know how the budget is being devised? Is there dialogue and participation in the process of deciding on priorities? Is there feedback, as was mentioned before? Is there budget transparency? As was mentioned, I think, from earlier on one of the speakers, information is power. And in this case, the information needs to be shared by both parties to a decision. What we call the rights holders, citizens, have rights, and the duty bearers, in this case, county governments or policymakers. And this conversation, this decision, is about creating a social contract. Finance ministers and county budget planners and governors, I know you make tough decisions every single day. We wish we had all the resources we needed. We don't. And the decisions that are made matter. These decisions have consequences on the health and well-being of the communities you serve. I'm sure you sometimes think about, do I put in money into building a road, or do I put in money to expand the early learning opportunities for more children in a county? Do I put money into rehabilitating the water points, or do I put money into refurbishing my community hall? These are decisions. But these are decisions that you cannot make by yourselves or in the dark. The risks of doing that are too high. There has to be evidence, there has to be analysis, a logic, a sound decision-making. Who are the poorest in your counties? Who are the most disadvantaged in your counties? Where are they? What are their most pressing needs? Which investments will have a multiplier effect to reduce poverty? Which are the most high impact and cost-effective ways to deliver key services? We heard earlier about an investment that was like a white elephant sitting there. It just needed a little bit more investment to unlock its potential. And so these are the kinds of things that we've really got to be thinking very, very carefully about. So only with this level of meticulous decision-making and broad-based consultations can we hope to make the most of the resources available for as many people as possible. If we get this right, and here's the passion for children, yes, every child will have a health center within easy reach where they can get vaccinated and treated. Every child will have a school to attend with a high-quality learning experience. Every child will have access to safe water and sanitation in their communities, and the protection services they need to prevent and respond to violence and abuse. So this work is at the key of what UNICEF believes in. Our priority as UNICEF is to both maximize the pot of resources that are available for children, but also to optimize the available resources. Yes, there are many policies and plans, but without resources, there is no tangible benefit to communities and to children. Over the past years, we have increasingly focused our own efforts in UNICEF to help build stronger public financial management systems that can respond to the needs of the poorest children and families, both at national and also at county levels. We have a strong PFM portfolio in UNICEF Kenya, and my colleagues are seated here at the table, and some of them are actually not here in the room. And currently, UNICEF actually chairs the Development Partners Group on Public Finance Management. And as such, we're actually very proud to be associated with the International Budget Partnership, which has undertaken this survey across the 47 counties in Kenya. The results were presented earlier. They will be shared even further with decision makers and budget teams in every single county. And this is a part of a dialogue and toolkit which we hope will lead to more effective decisions for citizens and for children. The IBP has found that when ordinary people are empowered with the information, skills, and opportunities to participate in the budget processes, it actually leads to an improved quality of life for children and other vulnerable groups. And here's the essence of what I'm saying. An informed public is the best auditor of public funds. An informed public is the best auditor of public funds. Availability of a good budget and good budget data is crucial to support budget planning and also to inform policy commitments and how these are being translated into action. So that's why, in addition to this survey, we're working with IBP to build the capacity or strengthen the capacity, because there is capacity, of civil society organizations and also rights holders to participate in those processes. And I was delighted to hear about the 9-month journey you've been through and the kind of training that's happened, and all the colleagues present here, but importantly at the county levels. It's really, really great to see this. So thank you for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, these issues that we're talking about is not just an issue for Kenya. Actually, the importance of budget transparency is rising rapidly at also the global level. Too often, public resources don't reach the citizens and children most in need. In some places, policymakers fail to allocate the funds necessary for children to grow and learn in a safe and healthy environment. In other places, yes, we have the funds, but they're not that well managed, and they reduce the quality and accessibility of healthcare, education, and other services. And in fact, improper management of these funds exacerbate inequalities. Global evidence has shown that public spending on children is actually a smart investment for the children, for the communities, and the countries. I've said it before, when governments invest in children, health outcomes improve, education attainment is greater, your economy will rise because they are your future workforce, and your societies will become more cohesive. Let me give you a couple of examples of some evidence. The Global Campaign for Education has found that investing in girls' education reduces maternal deaths, child marriage, and also HIV transmission, all areas which are still issues in Kenya. Our own report, UNICEF, found that a well-nourished child earns between 5 to 50% higher incomes when they become adults compared to their malnourished counterparts. We've seen during the COVID crisis what has happened on the economy and on poverty. And governments around the world have been investing over 3 trillion in social protection measures, mainly on cash transfers to the poorest families to cushion them from falling further into poverty. So we've got the evidence on health, on education, on social protection. But still, even with this evidence, public spending on education, on health and nutrition and social protection has stagnated in many parts of the world. And these weak funding outlays can delay, for example, teacher payments, greater teacher absenteeism. You know what that means for our children. In healthcare, inadequate financing can lead to critical shortage of medicines and vaccines. So you know what that means for our children and citizens. So the cost of inaction, or the wrong actions, or inadequate actions is very, very clear. I'd like to underscore one other thing when it comes to financing or public financing for children. Please, when you're deciding, don't just look at one sector. We need to take a holistic approach so that the whole range of child issues are taken into account in your counties, depending on how your indicators are: health, education, nutrition, water sanitation, protection, and other areas. So if you put everything in health, okay, you'll have healthy children. So where are they going to go to school if you don't have the appropriate education facilities? You put everything in education, that's great, but then will children be able to survive and be healthy? So you can see how the connections are, so I would really urge that we look at these things in a holistic manner. Kenya, in addition to many other countries, has already made commitments for better use of funds for children through your global commitments. Kenya has signed on to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, to the SDGs, but actually also there was a reference made to the Constitution of Kenya. And to support the government of Kenya to achieve these goals, not just government of Kenya, to support governments all around to achieve these goals, UNICEF's public finance work now takes a hands-on approach in more than 100 countries and considers how well public funds are being used for children. In situations where we cannot just increase the pot of money for children, because that's what we would of course like, we actually help governments think about how best they can use the money that they have. Let me give you 2 examples. In Malawi, UNICEF's analysis and advocacy helped make education spending much more equitable by eliminating school fees for the poorest of families and setting up public funds for scholarships for girls. In Ethiopia, UNICEF supported revenue generation reforms to expand the fiscal space. So this allowed for an increase in budget allocations of health up to 13% and of water and sanitation up by 28%. So it is possible. And in Kenya and in the East African region, as we start to recover from the economic fallout of COVID-19 and also adjust to the recent price shocks, which is in the newspapers every single day, it is crucial to promote the benefits of this kind of budget transparency and effectiveness. This will help us to prepare better for future shocks, including this looming debt crisis and increasing impact of climate change that we're seeing. So I'm coming to the end, and I want to come to this survey, and I want to say, let us, of course, celebrate the findings of the Budget Transparency Survey. And we congratulate many of the counties for their effective and transparent work. But it is a report card, and let's be honest, and I think we need to say it as it is. We've made progress, and it's always good to take perspective, as has been mentioned by several of the honourable governors. There is a history, there's a journey, and yes, we're on the journey, and that's really great. But are we moving fast enough on the journey? In sum, from what I could hear, I feel that it's been a patchy journey, let's call it that, but let's have the hope. And, you know, when I heard about, let's say, the 4 or 5 key findings, you know, pace of change is slow. We're improving, pace of change is slow. Why is that? We need to look a little bit deeper. Yes, we can see that counties are moving forward and contributing, but then it's not consistent. You were doing something last year, but then suddenly you slipped this year. Why is that for some of the counties? Yes, the documents are there, and that's good, but just documents themselves without the complete information is not good enough. And I think let's also look at that. But let's also, you know, look at the positive part, I think, was really around the fact that when asked for more information, when counties were made aware of this, many of them responded positively. So the goodwill and the will, I think, is there. And I think we have to take that positive spirit. And finally, everybody's talked about public participation. We have a journey to go. So I think really, you know, at this point, when I'm listening to this and I'm thinking as a parent and as a caregiver for children, so I asked myself, so what does this mean? So an open budget would mean that as a parent and as a caregiver, I could be much more demanding that the budget reflects the condition and the situation and the needs of children, my children, in a particular county, had it been totally open. As a citizen and a parent, I would also think, okay, I elect certain leaders to parliament and county assemblies. And open budgets would also mean that these elected leaders who represent me, who represent communities, have the information they need to ensure that key issues, including children's issues, are prioritized. And again, as a citizen, even when budgets are sufficient, I would be able to see whether the funding is concentrated on areas that benefit who? Is it the richer segments of society? Is it the poorest? Is it the most disadvantaged? What about people living with disabilities? I can interrogate that. So I think inclusion, the whole aspect of inclusion of every single citizen, every single Kenyan into this process is extremely important. And we will walk this journey with you. And so I want to say that as we support devolution from the UN, but also specifically from UNICEF, this remains a key focus for us, walking this journey with you. Let me end by final words of gratitude to the governments of Finland, Italy, and Sweden for supporting this work through their financial resources through what we call the Joint Devolution Program, which brings together UNICEF, UNDP, and UN Women. I'd also like to thank the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for providing funds under the Budget Credibility Project. We need to recognize this, as somebody said before, all this needs resources. Resources come from somewhere. And yes, we have partners on the forefront, but let's not forget, there are taxpayers in some other countries as well who are supporting us and Kenya to do this. So I really want to recognize and acknowledge all the donors. And finally, my appreciation to this wonderful collaboration with the Treasury, with the counties, with the Council of Governors, with civil society and partners, of course, the IBP. We will stay the course with you. We encourage you to continue riding up that ladder. In so many ways, Kenya is a beacon of hope in this region, in this continent. Kenya is seen as a leader in so many different ways. Let Kenya be a leader in this. Thank you.
Okay, so we are now at the most exciting time, which is to do two things. So first of all is to officially launch the report, and for that I'll request the country rep of UNICEF, Madam Manisa, sorry, just before you sit down, of course our distinguished governors, of course, our rep from the National Treasury, from COG to please come up on the stage. And in the same spirit of inclusiveness, I will request Josephine and Mula to also come up so that the launch is also inclusive. And for the launch, just so that I make sure that the information is clear. So we have, of course, a book that is covered with a ribbon. Madame Manisa will cut the ribbon. When she cuts the ribbon, there will be confetti. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Where some things will be thrown up in the air, there will be celebrations, all of us will clap, then they will land, and then we will get to the next part. So Effie, over to you, and we can now start with the countdown. Albert, we can start with the countdown. Thank you very much. So you can hold your copies of the book up for a photo opportunity. Please feel free to flip through the pages. Since now it's launched, you can read it. So feel free to flip through the pages as well. And it's important for me to mention as we finish this part that all this information is now up on our website. So you'll have the full report. Around the room, we'll also pass around the summary. We also have 3 other pieces of research related to this survey that will also go up on our website right away. For those who are on Zoom, you are lucky because the links will be shared with you right away. For the rest of us, we'll get them once we finish the meeting. Okay, thank you very much. And now I will ask, we move to the next part. Again, Madam Maniza, I'll just ask you to remain on the stage, Dr. Rugo as well. And for me, this is the best part. And this part is we are going to recognize counties. We already know Nyeri is number 1. So really, it stopped being a secret 30 minutes ago. But we want to recognize the top 3 counties. We want to recognize the most improved county. But we also want to recognize counties that made the best effort in each of the documents that we evaluated. When Biegon spoke about the good practices that we see, we want to make sure that that is very clear on where some of those good practices are situated. So we'll start right at the top. County number 1, Nyeri County, Governor Kahiga. Nyeri County was number 1, scoring 72 out of a possible 100 points. Congratulations to Nyeri and for all the good work. Thank you very much. Then we go to number 2. Number 2, I wish there were drums. Thank you. Number 2 was West Pokot County. West Pokot has a target on the back of Nyeri because West Pokot was number 1 last year. Nyeri beat them this year, so you can be sure next year West Pokot has a target on Nyeri's back. Congratulations to Nyeri. Congratulations to West Pokot. Thank you very much. Then closing the top 3 is another county from the North Rift. As you saw when the map was being shown, there's something special about North Rift and transparency. Probably we need to all understand what happens there. Elgeyo Marakwet County. At number 3, another very consistent open county, I should say that. Congratulations to Elgeyo Marakwet. Now, the next county is a special one, and I want to explain why. Kirinyaga County is the most improved county. They moved from a score of 0 in 2020 to 59 points in 2021. And the reason why I say Kirinyaga is special is because in previous surveys they had 0, 0, 0. They were very quiet. Then in 2021 they decided we are doing things differently, and we had really good communication from them, and they did really well. Congratulations to Kirinyaga, the most improved county in the survey with 59 points from a 0 before. Now let's move quickly to the documents. And I'll start with the Finance Act. The Finance Act is where we look at how counties plan to collect resources and what measures they are putting in place. Elgeyo Marakwet had the best Finance Act, the most comprehensive. Elgeyo Marakwet. And the amazing thing is they scored 100 points in it. It is the only document out of the 470 documents we evaluated that had a perfect score. So if you want to see a good finance act, look at Elgeyo Marakwet. The next one is the county fiscal strategy paper, where we decide what our priorities should be and what the ceilings for each of the sectors should be. Nakuru County had the most comprehensive CFSP. Karibu. Oh, sorry. Nakuru County, also one of the good performers over time. Congratulations. Yeah, the plan is those certificates, you hang them in the governor's office. Eh? Yes. The county budget review and outlook paper had a tie of 3 counties at the top, which is rare to see, but it happened. And the 3 counties that scored 92 out of 100 points were Kitui, Nairobi, and Nyamira. So Kitui County, you can start with Kitui, and then Nairobi can also be on the way. Kitui County is one of those counties that said we are going to be transparent, and as Biegon can attest, some of the best communication we get during these surveys from Kitui. Very comprehensive feedback they give us whenever we do the survey. Congratulations to Kitui. Nairobi County. There's something very unique about Nairobi. In this survey, we were evaluating 10 documents. Nairobi had 5 documents, but Nairobi is in the top 10. And the reason for that is because almost all of Nairobi documents were very comprehensive. So congratulations, Nairobi, with the most comprehensive CBROP. Then we have Nyamira County. Congratulations to Nyamira, also having a very comprehensive county budget review and outlook paper. Yes, and 2 ladies from Nyamira. Yeah, we need to do a bit more in this PFM space to open it up for women. Then we move to the county quarterly budget implementation report. This is an area where, of course, is looking at how budget execution is going on. And the county that has consistently been the top in this has remained at the top, Baringo County. Governor Kiptis. If you want to see good implementation reports, go to their website. They have some really good examples to pick from. Congratulations to Baringo. Congratulations. The citizens' budget is supposed to be a simplified version of the budget that is supposed to help citizens get a very simplified kind of communication on what governments are planning to do with their budgets. And the most comprehensive citizens' budget was from Kajiado County. Is there a representative from Kajiado County? If not, I'll ask Feather to pick on their behalf from the Council of Governors. So citizens' budget is one of those documents that is supposed to help with the conversation with citizens. Next, we will move to the program-based budget, the most detailed of all the budgets that are produced by government, and also the document that is subjected to the most public participation. So it's one of the really critical budget documents. And the county that was top on this, and again they are consistently on doing this, is Kitui County. So Kitui have 2 documents where they were at the top. So they might not have been in the top 3, but they were in the top 5. So they are consistent all through. Congratulations to Kitui. Then I come to the last document, the annual development plan. Coincidentally, in this one also, there was a tie of 3 counties at the top, which we thought was very interesting. One of the counties that is top here is Lamu County. Governor Twaha, please come up. Lamu County had the most comprehensive annual development plan. And I remember last year when we shared the 2020 results, last year when we shared the results of the survey with Lamu, Waziri of Finance from Lamu was not happy with me. She's present. But the cool thing is that she told us we are going to do better. We were there together with the UNICEF team. And as you looked at the most improved counties, Lamu was one of them. And they also have the most comprehensive annual development plan. So commitments made, and the commitments were met. Congratulations to Lamu. The next county that had a very comprehensive annual development plan is Wajir. The CC from Wajir is here. Congratulations to Wajir. Another county during the meeting we had with the team from UNICEF. And they said we are going to do better. And here we are. So congratulations to Wajir. Then the last county, and probably not surprising, I think I already let the cat out of the bag, is Nairobi County. Nairobi also had a very comprehensive annual development plan, and so they also get a second certificate. So congratulations to Nairobi. Yes. So if you are here and your county did not get a certificate, put your hand up. We wish you well. So thank you very much, and you can now have our seats.
Yeah, please have your seats. I want to, John. So we want to specially recognize through a photo moment our lead researcher. Now, I don't think any of you would appreciate the amount of work that has gone into this. When you say the research takes 8 months, it is 8 months of doing the research, not the amount of work that is done to prepare, to coordinate first to coordinate the availability survey of the team, coordinate 20 researchers, 10 reviewers, 10 senior reviewers, put the report together, and as you will go to those documents online, you will appreciate just how much work has gone in that process. And therefore, Kipkorir Biegon, I would like you to come specifically now, not to present, but to have a photo moment with Maniza and to say to him, thank you. I think he deserves a standing ovation. He has done an amazing, amazing, amazing job. That's for you, Kipkorir, and we all appreciate the work you have done. Thank you so much. We may all now sit. Thank you so much, Maniza. I pass it over back to John.
Thank you very much. And again, congratulations to all the counties and to all of us, because all of us do play a role in making sure our counties are open and transparent. Now we are coming to the end of the session, and I want to invite a good colleague from UNICEF. I think I would be underselling if I say how much conversation I have with Godfrey. And Godfrey will always be like, are their counties not doing well? What can we do about it? And he's always been very great to the team at IBP, but also pulling together the UNICEF team. So Ndenge will play a role, unfortunately, to saying thank you to everyone. And here I am saying that you are the one who should be said thanks to. We'll say thanks to you as well. Karibu.
Thank you, John. I had written a long piece of paper here, but given this, the notes and the speeches, I don't intend to go through this. Your Excellencies, Governors, Your Excellency Toa, Lamu, Kaiga, Nyeri, Kiptis, Baringo, our chief guest, Maniza Zaman, UNICEF representative, the National Treasury, Josephine Kanyi, COG representative Feather, development partners present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Godfrey Ndenge. Is it afternoon? Good morning. This morning has been long. I just wanted to be very brief, and I wanted to begin by thanking all colleagues, partners. From what they say, and I want to make and the dispensary, that initially looked like a kiosk. Maniza kiosk is a small one-door sort of business, like, you know, one man inside, and then you know what a kiosk is. I don't know whether you have kiosks, for sure you don't have. So you can imagine a dispensary in that shape, and that's why people are supposed to benefit. And the story which he asked us not to go into says that several millions were spent, and of course from, you know what a dispensary is supposed to look like. Now, I'm trying to connect here the value of what the researchers are trying to do and where we used to sit before. Kaiga, Governor of Nyeri, brought a very nice example. How many of us contributed to the prioritization of, what do you call it, where you are this island, exactly the expressway. Very few from here. And yet we spend a lot of money. That dispensary required very little money. And out of highlighting and bringing that evidence before, people were able to, you know, get sensitized, and it was picked, it was prioritized. And the last thing I heard from you is that the dispensary was giving service and offering services to the people. Now, those are small things. They are not equivalent to the SGR or these big things. And thank you so much. The researchers, budget champions, and communities for this. Actually, without you, we cannot do this. When I worked for the National Treasury and Planning with Madam Director, Josephine Kanyi, to conclude that Kenya's economy has worked, but when you look at the daunting challenges identified in the session of paper 91, 10 of 1965, poverty, ignorance, and disease are still a major challenge to most of the people. Then you wonder what has been happening to our good planning. I think IBP has done a good job to bring us all together. Josephine will tell you that in the early 90s, we could not actually, as government, attend a CSO as government. A CSO invited function like this, and today I see a lot of progress moving forward. COG has really helped the process, and we are really happy about this because they did a citizen guide that was shared with other counties. And one of the requirements of the process is to have a citizen simplified budget, which counties are now doing. And I thought we could have seen some winners of who are those who are continuously doing the citizen budget, because it links well with the people, they can understand the budget. And Maniza said the best auditors of public funds are informed public. So are the people on the ground aware of the budgets that we have for them? I don't want to take a lot of time. I want to thank also the National Treasury the development partners who have supported the whole process. UNICEF, this time around, we've been a little bit off in the previous years. And what I expected Rugo to say is that there's also a national score on this. And the Kanye is here, we should have said. The national open budget score has stagnated for quite some time at 49.50. And the Kanye, I think we need to do something. Previously, we only used to work with the National Treasury on this, but I am so happy I can see some semblance. Now, the national average is 49.50. 49, let's call it 40, even 50. Participation is still very low. So the average of the counties is 35, which is way below the national average. So the national government is still more open in terms of budget transparency than all the counties. Of course, there are counties who are doing 59, and it's a good thing that I see quite a number moving up and down. So thank you so much, UNICEF, for supporting the whole process. I also want to appreciate and thank the Institute of Public Finance, the CONIA, Luminet, National Endowment for Democracy, and the CEDA for supporting IBP in this. Lastly, is to thank the media and all of us who are seated here, plus those who are participating through the Zoom. And my last word on this is, together we can strive to maximize the evidence, the value of the evidence generated today, but also sort of nurture and optimize on the talents already sort of build through IBP's work. And these are the people who are supposed to connect the communities, the demand side of services, but also the supply side, the counties and the duty bearers at the national level. I don't have a lot to share with you. I want to stop there. And thanks so much, IBP, for your good work. Thanks.
Let's appreciate Ndenge once again. So my job is simple, is to say there's still breakfast. As a host, we didn't want to keep you hungry. Please do not rush off. It's a Friday. You know, I don't have the power to declare a public holiday. But it's a Friday. But important that I wanted to say at the very end is that this survey focused on counties. On 31st of May, the International Budget Partnership Global will release the global survey, which looks at 120 countries, and it is true that we've made fairly progress, but still again slow. Details of that will be coming at that particular point, and we'll be engaging. We've engaged with the National Treasury. They always review back. And important is that actually the researcher of OBS is also present in the room. James Muragori, please stand up. He's also the CEO of IPF. So you can see we are all interconnected in one way or another. Institute of Public Finance is a researcher for the global survey, while IBP Kenya does the subnational survey. So that then there is no word that we are colluding things. Let's have somebody else deal with that. With all those many remarks, asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki. Have a good day and a good weekend.
Kwa majina naitwa Sara Nafula Simiyu. Niko na mume mmoja. Niko na watoto, vijana watatu, kijana mmoja. Nafanya kazi ya ukulima. Huwa ninapanda mboga. Nimepanda mboga kwa muda wa miaka 9. Tena mimi ni mfugaji wa kuku.
Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 guarantees every person the highest attainable standard of health, which includes the right to healthcare services, including reproductive health care. In addition, the Constitution introduced devolution in a bid to bring service delivery closer to the citizens while ensuring that they participate in the prioritization of their needs. Health became a heavily devolved function, living on policy matters at the national level. From the onset of devolution, many county governments have faced numerous challenges in the delivery of healthcare services to their citizens, and Busia County is not an exception. However, in Igula, accessible healthcare has been a pipe dream until very recently. The people of Igula had watched a stalled health facility in their neighborhood for years, while they still traveled for kilometers to get services.
We had almost 40 memorandums from entire cross-cutting from this down village ya kule chini Butunyi. Those memorandums that 40 memorandums mpaka tukatuma kwa office kupeleka kwa ofisi ya ward admin, ward ya MCA, mpaka they started calling each other. Initially, it was the government was not doing anything. Vile tuko na that push from the community. But now after these meetings, sensitizing community to understand their role, to know what's our those memorandums and those delegations have made the county government and the county government now to at least try to start acting, to try to ensuring kwamba if we don't do anything, these people from Igula community will still come for us.
We were not very happy with the Department of Health, the way they were handling the department, because there were a lot of rollovers, stalled projects in the department, and even the way their system of the projects in terms of implementation was too slow.
Despite many family obligations, Sarah still finds time to participate in issues affecting her well-being.
Kupitia kwa sisi, hizo memorandums ambazo tumeandika zikaenda kwa ward admin, zikatoka huko, zikaenda mpaka kwa chief officer Busia. Hiyo imetupatia morale, ndio sababu hiyo hospitali ikaweza kufunguliwa.
Before Igula Dispensary became operational, residents had to travel long distances to get medical services in the nearest health facility.
And the community are very responsive to that, and they are very appreciative for bringing to them the facility near to them, as most of them claim they were really using a lot of transport to go to Hunyangu, Burinda. Those ones from around, they can just march here anytime, and they are treated the way it is required. I always tell them we have a challenges of drugs, but they say, sister, we shall understand, and I know we shall pick up. I tell them, I usually work with the community health volunteers, whom I tell them to go and mobilize in the community, and tell them actually Igula has opened. The mothers, the children should be brought here for the services that they require. When I give them the program, they go tell them, and most of them come here for the services.
Although the dispensary has greatly eased the burden of seeking medical services far off, there are gaps that require urgent action. In a country where maternal mortality is 362 deaths per 100,000 live births, lack of a maternity unit here brings to fore the need to prioritize construction of one.
Ningependa kama county government itusaidie tuwe na maternity wing. Venye hiyo hospitali ilikuwa haijafunguliwa, hakika wamama wengi walikuwa wanajifungua nyumbani. Lakini kwa saa hii kupitia katika mafunzo ambayo wanapata Igula Dispensary inawasaidia ili wajipatie muda wa kufika hospitalini mapema.
So financing for healthcare services is grossly inadequate, and that's really a challenge for us. If we wanted to conduct a delivery at Igula Dispensary, we don't have a maternity ready there. So again, we don't have space for deliveries, and deliveries are happening day in, day out. We don't have a staff house at Igula. So the health workers at Igula, the nurses, and the community health assistants probably commute from elsewhere. And you know that is affecting quality service delivery. They have to take care of the rains. Sometimes they are delayed by public transport. They risk border traveling, and that's really compromising services.
Even with the completion and operationalization of Igula Dispensary, going beyond just capital projects and allocating resources for operations and maintenance remains a major challenge in Busia County. This has affected allocation of resources towards equipment and running costs.
What we are offering is equitably provided throughout the county of Busia. However, due to one, the funding challenges, you find sometimes we are not able to reach out to everybody with the services they have. Funding is one of the causes of inequity in our area. And then we also look at the area of human resource. Human resource is a big challenge that we are not able to equitably distribute them to all the people. This has disadvantaged some areas where you find like some health centers have very few human resource providers. We also have issues of commodities, not forgetting infrastructure issues. We still have a challenge that we are not able to have all the facilities having the same equipment.
Through partnership between the International Budget Partnership IBP and Community Empowerment Development Center CEDC, the budget champions have played an important role in ensuring that needs of the community members are addressed. The budget champions are members of the community who are trained to understand the budget-making process and to sensitize others on the need to participate in the process.
The partnership between IBP and CDC, imesaidia watu understand, kumbe nothing is going to be implemented without the implication of the budget. So as a budget champion, CDC trained us, it gave us information. We are trained on budget issues, budget stages, how to participate in budget making processes, and how to also monitor the implementation of the budgets. Issues were affecting Igula. Because of the information kuhusiana na mambo ya budgets that I was giving these community members that helped them as an advocacy tool. Kujua, this is the time. You need to implement it because this already, we tuliweka kwa bajeti and we are not seeing anything being done.
Wametusaidia sana kwa sababu hatukujua kwamba kuna mambo fulani inafaa tufuatilie. Lakini kupitia hiyo imetusaidia na tumefuatilia na tumeona matunda.
Focus is now turning to the entire county with hope that more can be done to complete stalled projects across all the sub-counties.
The journey that we've started with, we started with IPP, and going forward, I believe we still have a long way to go. Building, and again, we are looking forward to cover the entire county.
For Sarah, her role as a community volunteer and a change agent will inspire more women to participate in the development of their community, given the gains witnessed in Igula.